are listed, so that the total variance for the budget compared to last year is $1,622,901. The other sheets are the supporting sheets that go into 13, and we discussed them in all 5 meetings. So I don't know that we have to, if we need to, the detail is there if we need to discuss them. But this is the wrap-up of all the departments that we've discussed in 5 meetings to date. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think we should probably wait for John before we proceed any further.
That's a wise decision.
Yeah, yeah. But basically, we have to approve or modify the budget. And we need a resolution for the budget, let's put it that way. For the sewer budget, for the capital budget, apportionment, and fee schedule. Now, I don't know if I sent out the sewer budget. This copy here is of the sewer budget, which must be balanced. Expenses and revenues must balance, and they do. Lenny and
Thank you, sir.
Got one more?
Did you get Bill Carey's message?
no.
His back is in desperate order, so it won't be coming. He says.
Yeah, sorry to hear that. Okay.
He's been saying it for a few days now, so I think it's legit.
We call that a bender. Just kidding.
Backbender.
Backbender, that's what it is.
Hey, Ed.
This package here, this is the cover letter to go through.
Okay.
And probably, this is all a supporting document. This is what we discussed in all 5 meetings.
Okay.
Those are the variances, and if we need the detail, it's here.
Okay.
But that's,
Sure. Thank you. Did everybody get one? There's one left. Yeah.
It's for Bill.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
okay. So, you don't need that. You've got that. I just don't recall if I sent it.
I don't think I need anything at this
I don't think you do. No, I don't, because it all comes from you.
I have some of the committee reports pre-filled out, and then just drop
Okay.
numbers on them. I get
I've
that.
got some committee reports from Lisa. Are those these different from the ones you have?
This is,
What's that?
this is the fee schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were many copies of the fee schedule.
That's the fee schedule. That was from a bunch of, there's a bunch of resolutions for that.
Okay, this is all fee schedule, so
I think we can get to that.
later. Yeah, okay. So we can go to the budget first.
Let's do the budget first.
Okay, so I think the first order of business would be to come to a resolution adopting the budget. In 5 meetings, we've gone through every one of the departments, and that's listed on this one sheet here. The total variance is $1,622,901, and these do tie to the budget book. Okay. So does anyone have any modifications, any comments they want to make about the budget?
The budget,
The budget?
or the capital plan?
No, just, let's do the budget first, right? Yeah.
I would recommend doing it. I have one recommendation when we get there, but let's do everything else first.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So we're just opening it up to any change we want to talk about?
Any
or-
change you want to talk about?
Okay. Well, I would like to propose that we move some money in order to increase the salaries of the 9 aldermen and the alderperson at large by $1,000 each.
Say again, at one,
By $1,000 each. So move for the alder people from 8,000 to 9,000, for the alderperson at large from 10,000 to 11,000, and that would be the base salaries. And that money, I think, can come from number one. First, we have a positive variance of $1,370 already. There's some monies here under the personnel detail. And with John's advice, we might be able to take some money from there. And then whatever the difference is, take that from contingency in order to make that happen.
so take the money from where?
There's a number of items under retirement, for example, so
In
What
which
page you on?
budget?
page 16.
Hmm?
Page 16 of the budget.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So where are you taking money from?
So if you look under page 16, under the section that says retirement, right? Isn't that money that's set aside just in case, John?
For every employee who's eligible for New York State retirement system, we budget the cost of that employee joining the retirement system and what the city's contribution for that employee would be.
Okay, so it's unlikely there's going to be a minority leader, so that's $1,275, right?
But then wouldn't it be put in the, because if you look at the alderman, that's only 7.
If we converted a minority leader, because we had talked about that at previous meetings, I did run a number, a minority leader to an alderman, right? So make it 8 aldermen plus a majority leader plus alderman at large.
Mhm.
That would be savings of $613.
Okay, so
Uh,
600 what?
Let me just verify.
$13.
How much? I'm sorry.
600.
$613.
And then it would also take away the extra 500.
It would be $500 plus the benefits on that, so it's $613 is with total savings.
Oh, okay, I get what you're
But first of all, is everyone in favor of the main thrust of this resolution, increase the alderman's salary to $1,000?
I just had some questions when I was discussing this earlier, and where this money's coming from. I'm part of the New York State retirement system, and so I'm part of that 8,400 there, so I'm not sure exactly.
Well, no, first I'm at, where we get it from is another story. That's another issue. But the general resolution, increasing salaries, everyone in agreement with that? Everyone on board with that? Anybody not?
Again, I'm not in favor of it till I find out exactly how we're getting this money,
Oh, okay,
all right?
okay.
Where's this money coming from? That's the question. Where is it coming from? Before I'm gonna make a decision now.
Okay.
So if you're saying $8,400 of it, and that's part of the New York State retirement system, I've been putting into the retirement system since I've been an alderman for now, 7 years now? Or gonna be 7 years? So I'm trying to.
yeah, but we wouldn't be taking from your retirement. I'm looking at the one, so it says minority leader, for example. And we're probably not going to have a minority leader, so that's $1,275 we can move over to this,
Is
right?
that true, John?
Half of that, because you would then have to increase the number of aldermen to 8. The way you're going to save $613 by eliminating the minority leader and converting that position to just an alderman.
That's what we
If-
saved last year? My last term, did we save that?
Well, roughly. I mean, the benefits rates are different every budget, but approximately that amount. So I think what Rennie's saying is that not everyone is going to join the retirement system.
Well,
Is that what you're?
well, I'm looking more
There's
at
two of
those
us
two
on it. I
positions.
think it's Tony and I are in the retirement system,
Yeah,
or we'll join the retirement system.
I'm not even looking at that one yet. I'm looking at majority leader, and it says under retirement, $1,275.
Correct. But you only have 7 aldermen. You have a
It's a
total of
minority.
10 bodies here. If that minority leader, if there is no minority leader, then that person's paid the 8th. You have another alderman. You have 8 aldermen, plus a majority leader, plus alderman at large.
All right.
You'd have to take one position out and then add another alderman.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the figure 1275 that's next to majority leader.
Right, so then you'd have to add, right, if you take that out, now you're gonna have to add to retirement for aldermen, 2 lines down, or 1 line down. The 8,400, that number will have to be higher,
Why is that?
because you're gonna have another alderman.
Right, instead of, if there's not a minority leader, then that minority leader is just an alderman.
Yeah, the majority
Right.
leader.
So that
and
adds
minority
one
leader-
That's
alderman.
not enough to cover.
So there's going to be an increase in the retirement of the alderman.
It's $613 savings overall.
Yeah,
The
so-
$500 plus 7.65% for FICA, plus the 15% for the retirement.
Okay.
Wonder if the majority leader decided not to be the majority leader, or we decide not to have one.
Well, you have to have a majority leader. We gotta have a leader.
Well, we don't have a minority leader.
It's a majority leader.
Oh,
Yeah, majority
So you
leader.
gotta have a majority leader.
Well, I just don't understand if the majority leader, for example, is not taking retirement, is not part of the retirement system, why do we have to have 1275 budgeted there?
I mean, it's up to the council to take that out. We put it in there to allow anyone who is on the council or any employee throughout the city to join the retirement system.
Uh-huh.
So
if we
I
remove,
think it's kind of unique to the council. Everywhere else in the city, the full-time employees have to join the retirement system, so we budget for them. The council has the option. From year to year it changes, so we just assume everyone will. We budget for it to be conservative.
uh-huh.
But if you want to carve away some of that budget.
Why
for
would we not? Why would Randy or me not elect not to?
Because you have to be in there for a while. We're part-time, so it's gonna take a while for you even to accumulate anything in it.
Yeah.
That's why, because we're
It could be
part-time, so
money.
it's not gonna be like 1 year you're gonna get a big thing. You would have to probably be here.
10 years.
Probably 7 to 8 years before it even factors into your retirement. But every little thing counts. But it's not, it's not like being part of New York. The teachers already, we're the teachers. We've been there years. We have a salary. This is part-time. There's a small salary. It's going to take a while for you to accumulate something.
It's a small amount,
Yeah, and it takes a long time for it to
like 10 years.
accumulate. Yeah,
I think like
anything.
10.
Rennie, what we could do, I mean, if you wanted, for purpose of your budget, if you wanted to just pick a number for retirement, I can tell you what 2017 the cost was $5,100 for council. Last year it was $7,200.
Let's say 7,200.
That was for the retirement system.
Oh,
cost
okay.
I don't have a final number on this year yet, but I can give you an estimate. That's 6,500 and change.
Why'd it go down?
It just depends on who is in it. The rates change, salaries may vary. This year we're paying off more amortization, so that gets expensed this year. Some of those amortizations.
But no matter how you cut it, taking it from retirement, however, it doesn't make much of a dent in the increase that we need for the salary increase.
Well,
It's very small.
you'd be able to get several $1,000s from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is several thousands.
Oh, 7?
Several.
Thousand.
70,000.
Okay, big range, yeah.
So what would be like close to the maximum amount we could take out of that retirement column?
What you don't know are your new aldermen, whether or not they're joining or not. So,
Uh-huh. So let's just assume that they are.
they are, and this is the cost we have here is for how many new do we have? We have
We're going to have 2.
two new, and you have 2 leaving who are also in. So,
Who's leaving?
Bill's in.
well,
Bill and Jim.
Jim Noble's, and Bill,
Jim's in
they're
it?
both, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jim's in it
So-
too?
Well, he's been here a long time.
Uh-huh.
He's accumulated.
Yeah, he has.
After you started.
He
at the
actually
beginning.
made it, yeah.
he
I-
made it.
He's gonna be able to afford a bottle of whiskey a year.
The most I
Right,
would-
exactly.
The most I would
$100 a year.
recommend reducing it is $4,000.
All right, so if we did 4,000 out of that, nobody gets hurt, and then that would mean 6,000 from contingency?
Just give me a second here, hold on.
That's considering the two new people joined,
Joined.
correct?
That was the scenario he just gave,
All right.
that they
And
joined.
if they don't, we can make a budget transfer later on, right?
Is everybody here part
If
of the
they
New
don't,
York State
we could
retirement?
subsequently
No.
make a
anything?
budget transfer.
Yeah, keeping in mind that the retirement budget is several $1 million for the
I didn't
city.
know who you checked it.
It's,
Would you check the city clerk, John, to see
Yeah,
if
we're
you signed
having a
up for that?
conversation going in and I don't
To see if
know
you,
how I
like,
well,
reading
we wouldn't have it yet. Normally, they wouldn't come in until late December.
Who?
The new. alderman.
No, I
No,
mean,
the
to
ones
find out
that-
if the current aldermen, if they're
If they're
enrolled
interested in
in,
joining,
if they're already a part of it or not, or yet.
well, you can call the state to find out if you're a part of the system. If you think you may have joined somewhere else, to enroll with the city, you'd see civil service.
And they can tell her if they enrolled or not,
Yeah.
if they're already enrolled. Again, what the thing I was, yeah, that's why, I mean, it was something like that you gotta be here
Who's in charge
as
of
an alderman,
civil
you're gonna
service?
be here for a
White,
long
is that
time
right?
for it to accumulate. But me,
Jackie
you know,
Seco.
already in the system, I was like,
Who's in
okay,
charge?
what really thing? It might give me an extra month.
It makes sense.
Jackie
Jackie.
Seco.
Get out.
How do you spell that last name?
That would be a good month.
Yeah.
CICCO.
DeSico.
Yeah.
I know all these things. Give me, I dated DeSico girl.
That might have been
All right,
one.
come on, spill the
Oh,
beans.
she's married, so she's not the sequel.
All right,
She's married to
so
sequel.
just bear with me here.
So,
So far, I have in here, we're eliminating the minority leader and just the social security on that, adding an alderman and a social security, just taking $4,000 off the retirement system budget. I think what we'll do is then remove the actual budget from the individual line items in the department and just do a total on page 16, however you care. That saves $4,500 total, $4,538.
Oh, nice.
So
And-
that's prior to, and then adding,
And did you find that one I have to decide on that?
and then to
I
add
don't think there's any official.
$1,000 per
That's by the
position.
end of the year,
And in December 31st?
yeah.
If you're gonna do that,
Yeah.
then he's gonna know that, because that's gonna change.
What's that?
He's for minority,
Yeah.
because he just took, that's what he's taking out, that's
Well.
those figures.
Could be a problem. That's what I'm saying, you know.
Before that, prior to
Yeah,
that?
Deb Brown.
So the net of, that's not right, hold on.
This is all could be, right, Tony? Not
Yeah.
Not is. It's
Well,
could.
this is a wrap up today, so it's gonna be somewhere.
5460, a total out of 10,000, right?
Right, so then you have to add,
5462 would be what you have to take out someplace else.
well, but I have to add in the FICA. The total is 6,228 that you would need to find somewhere else.
6 what?
6,228. Just
Plus
to,
4538. That's not the.
oh, no, that's, here, I'll give you eliminating the minority leader saves 9,150. Adding.
9,150 if we eliminate the minority leader?
Yeah. Without the retirement system cost then. Adding another alderman adds back another $8,612 into the budget.
800.
8,612. Reducing the retirement system budget for the common council by $4,000 saves $4,000.
4,000 even.
4,000 even, and then adding $1,000 in salary to the 10 positions adds back 10,766. So that puts you at a total of 6,228
So you gotta,
that you would look to find somewhere else.
So the easiest place would just be to move it over from contingency. right?
It's one spot you can look at.
Mm-hmm.
What other spots can you look at?
Any other department you've looked at their expenses so far?
Anything from DPW?
I mean, if there's any estimates or anything that you looked at that, you know, you wanted to change, you always could.
I think that's a good place to look.
Well, the other thing is the easiest thing would be to move it from contingency, and then if there's an issue later on, you know, we've done a really good job. John's really done a really good job. Department heads have done a really good job of conservative budgeting. You can see that this year we ended up with a positive variance of over $1 million. So, I mean, part of it is, you know, I think we can be confident that we'll do well in the coming year as we've done in past year. And we've done well the last 4 or 5 years in a row. And this is, in terms of the total budget, this is a very small amount.
Tiny.
Here's the numbers. Minus 9,150.
150, thank you. So you're looking at,
Every dollar matters.
taking from contingency then, 'cause that's what you're saying?
That's one
what your
option,
proposal.
right. The other, that's my proposal. But we may be able to find that money somewhere else if we looked really hard.
Well, I'd recommend you keep looking and then just other items that you have, and then we can circle back and maybe do a committee report for everything, and we can see where we're at.
You say looking at other departments.
Well, I know there was the one, in the building department, right, Steve Knox had asked for $600 in the
Right.
employee training,
Right.
you know, so.
We're gonna try to look.
If you
Alright,
start
so
just totaling these up, then we can come back and see where we're at
Okay,
and
John.
where you want to pull.
Makes sense.
Okay, so then where are we at right now then?
As of right now, if you made those changes, it would be $6,228 total cost.
If
That would
if
come
those changes
from
were made.
Contingency?
Potentially, if that
Potentially.
was where you wanted to look.
Well, that,
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
That would be from contingency if, yeah. The rest comes from.
As of right now, it hasn't been
Nothing.
decided.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But the balance would come from, for other races would come out of the no minority leader retirement system changes and.
well, the 4,260, the number I gave you is the net of all those changes. That's the net impact. That's the net cost of making all those changes to the common council budget.
4,000,
Let me go back. Say 6,228.
Yeah, 6,220.
6,228 is the total cost of those changes.
okay.
Of eliminating the minority leader, adding an alderman. I mean,
Okay.
or if you just want to say
So
converting
we-
the minority leader position to an alderman, reducing the departmental retirement system budget by $4,000 and adding $1,000 for elected official position.
So somewhere we gotta find $6,228, and then maybe others as we go down.
Yes. Yeah, and maybe have others that are going to go the other direction, so.
What was that, the increase in meters, right?
That's actually our outsourced software. That's the company who does all the noticing
Okay.
and the DMV interaction.
I don't know why they write anything down, I'm sure, okay. So that has to go up,
Yeah, that's just it's really a percentage of our tickets.
all right.
So what about looking at some of the revenue lines? Would it be possible to raise a revenue line rather than cut spending? Or are those
If
pretty
there's
clear?
if there's any that you want to look at, we can certainly look at them, and I can tell you where things are at.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Because, I mean, one place in terms of revenue that I would like to look at would be under building safety, because we've been having a lot of new building here, pulled a lot of permits. That might be a place to add something.
That's already in for $500,000.
Contract.
2555 in the building department. Okay, Okay, I think we got a pretty good handle on the change in the common council budget. Any other changes?
Did you want to ask about that position in recreation?
Oh, no, I don't think it's ever been in there, right? The rec department? That wasn't, I know we had discussed that when we had Kevin here for the rec department about that position, and I believe I had passed on the information
Yes.
that I gathered in regard to that, and that, you know, so my recommendation would be just to keep that department as is and not at this time come
I
up with a.
I understand that, I think everyone else probably does too, because you had the discussion with the mayor, and that makes sense.
We got some more
So
information.
pass
about
on
it.
it, so
I
that,
didn't hear any of this. I know we
Oh.
discussed it.
You didn't receive the email I sent to everybody?
I did not see that, no.
Oh,
There was a job that you spoke about, Steve. And,
I recommended a deputy.
correct.
Right.
And that deputy position right now, by creating a deputy position, then you would have to then create another position because of union contracts. So you take that person as, what are they, rec leader? Per the union, you have to create the union would request that we would have to have a rec leader. That's a union position. The deputy director is not a union position. So if you create a person to a union deputy position, by union contract, you have to create another rec department leader. And the person that's Kevin had stated wasn't even in the top three
he
at
didn't
the
state
time.
anybody.
Yeah, he stated who he thought was
Oh,
the
yeah.
right person at the time.
Okay.
That he was interested. It's not even in the top three positions right now,
I mean,
based on the test taken.
I think who Kevin would like to put in there is irrelevant.
Yeah?
I mean, I think the position is important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the person who would be considered for that position would come later down the road. I mean, that's not even part of the conversation, say who's gonna get that job.
Yeah, but again, by creating the deputy positions, now that means we have to create another line item and hire another position because that rec person now is going to be a deputy thing, doing the same work a little bit more as a rec leader. And what Steve has stated, and I apologize if you didn't receive it, sent the job description out, and a rec leader, and part of the job description is to do some of the paperwork that Kevin was concerned about that he doesn't get into and that a deputy commissioner do. A rec leader in their job description has those duties to do some of that stuff. So I don't know why Kevin's not divvying it out or whatever, but in the job description, they have that capability to do some of the work that
Okay.
Kevin is saying that a deputy position could do.
I get all that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, one of the reasons I feel strongly is to create a line of succession for that department. I mean, it's the only department in this city that doesn't have a deputy under the director. So, you know, I mean, when Kevin retires, which obviously at some point he's gonna be gone, you know, it would be nice to have a deputy that's already there, that can apply for that position. We haven't had a deputy here in 12 years, I think, something like that. I mean, that's my point, not who's gonna get the job. I really don't care. who
No, I don't
gets the
care.
job.
But-
Hiring people's not a bad thing at all.
Well, like I said, by creating a deputy position, so then you gotta get that person on board to train them, and on top of that, you gotta create another rec position.
Correct.
John, how much would that add to their budget to create another position?
And another rec leader.
Well, you would have to create a deputy position, which I didn't even know how much that was listed
How
in
many,
there for.
how many union sanctioned
Well,
jobs
it-
are empty right now,
It would
sitting without
depend
people in?
on what salary was decided, right? Because if it was non-union, you'd have to set a salary. I think, I mean, my concern for the council here is that you can add a position in there, but if the mayor doesn't want to fill it, he's not going to fill it, and it's just going to be money that you're raising through taxes or somewhere else that's just sitting there. The mayor needs to be on board with this, otherwise, you know, you can, obviously, if you cut a position, then, you know, there's no money there, but when you're adding positions, if he's not on board with adding them, then
From my
it's
conversation,
gonna sit
So
empty.
He
your
had a conversation-
is he's not on board.
yeah, well, he said he had that conversation with Kevin, and you know, he understood how Kevin felt, and that he, from what, and I don't want to talk for the mayor, but from what he seems that he felt that, you know, that at this time, that position wasn't needed, and the rec leaders, like he said, he's the one that sent me the job description, had that capability of doing.
And
those
did you,
positions.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the book, did you all talk about the union problem with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And also, there's just been, there was a rec leader added and a half-time job. There wasn't another part-time job moved to full-time?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's already adding a body and a half, plus just some movement around with other people. I mean, it's gonna be slightly different. I mean, could we revisit this if needed, halfway through the year? And,
I mean, as our city
Well, we're
grows,
gonna revisit it, but if the mayor's not on board, he ain't gonna be on board
It doesn't matter.
halfway through the
Right.
but as our
year.
city's actually obviously growing in lots of different ways, right? We can tell from the revenues that we're gaining, right, from the buildings and things like that. Obviously, we're going to need to increase our rec department in some ways for the elderly that are moving here, for you know, for the families that are moving here, and you know, the rec department's growing too, just like the rest of the city.
well, we did add a body and a half.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, to your point, the mayor's not on board, and it's got to be the bigger.
I get all that,
Yeah.
right? So I guess the whole point is that I certainly want to be on record here saying I strongly feel we need that position. I've recommended it in other budgets. It hasn't been done. You know, we are, as Pat said, we've added a lot more to this position than I think is, you know, that a rec leader shouldn't be handling. We got stadium now, we got several parks coming into, you know, under their jurisdiction. I mean, it's gonna be a lot of work. And is a rec leader really gonna be a second level supervisor there? I don't think so. I mean, I feel strongly, I've recommended it, and I recommended it before Steve was here, so, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, knock Steve, but I've asked for this a couple times, and we haven't had any movement on it.
Now seems like a good time, actually, if you're going to do it.
Well, we're not gonna do it without the mayor approving it, so.
if you just pass the information on. I was actually called the mayor, I reached out to him. He stated that anybody else could reach out to him as well.
He's right over there if you want to really reach out.
I mean, I know at that time, a lot of people threw a flag up that said, oh, they were gonna reach out to him.
Well,
And I don't know,
I
I don't know.
got the
You did.
email.
I mean, I don't know who else talked to him
I got the email that he
personally.
sent. He
Yeah.
sent the job description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sent it to everyone.
Correct.
Yeah.
So he
And
did.
and he did say that the rec leader, sometimes the two positions, they overlap. Rec leader sometimes would do what a deputy director would do. So,
They're gonna
I saw
have to.
that.
Right, and the
Yeah.
crucial thing is if we move that one person up, you know, we would have to hire two people. Because the union rules say that if we move somebody into that other position, we have to refill the rec
Okay.
leader position. And that, so moving somebody up to that other, creating that new position would require hiring two people. So, you know, that's more,
I mean, I
that's
understand
a big
Steve's,
budget hit.
you know, you don't know how long Kevin's gonna be here. If he does go, you know, somebody's gonna have to jump in there to take over. And only thing I could, you know, suggest is that, you know,
Part-timer?
Kevin, if he should be grooming somebody that's there already as a rec leader, saying.
But there's no guarantee that the deputy would get that job regardless. That would be up to the mayor. He could just put the position out and hire somebody on site.
He sure
And-
could.
And how
That's a-
often has that really happened, where the deputy just becomes the department head? I mean, how often in the city's history does that happen where the deputy of the department then becomes the department head? I mean, I know of instances where that isn't the case, but I've obviously haven't been here that long, so.
No, that's, I mean, it's no guarantee. I mean, but I think it's nice that a deputy would have be in line for that promotion. I mean, that's a nice qualification to have when you're sitting down at your interview to say you've been a deputy director there. I mean, that's kind of a nice, it looks nice on your resume when you're interviewing for the position rather than coming off the street someplace. I mean, if I was doing the interviewing, I mean, I would certainly give that a lot of weight.
Right,
Real
so since
issue.
it's not there, then everybody comes in on a fair, you can still get, you know, the most qualified person.
The real issue is the amount of responsibility that the rec department has right now, and is the the structure that we have in place working? And you know, that's what it really comes down to. I mean, is that department functioning properly with the staff it has right now, or do we need a deputy director? That's probably the real question, not who's going to get hired next or whatever. It's just like, is that department running properly with the amount of staff we have right now and the kind of staff we have right now?
We
Or
haven't
do we
heard,
need to hire someone?
we haven't heard anything that is not running properly.
I haven't.
No. I
And,
haven't heard
and
it.
I mean, I'm comfortable with leaving it, because we're adding a body and a half, and
Mhm.
something, we're not getting complaints about, you know, that the department isn't doing well, and plus, because it's,
It means
One and a
did
half.
Kevin say that he's got some more on his plate? Yes. And he didn't say the department wasn't running efficiently.
No, he didn't. He said he was very busy and he would like to have that position filled.
but most of the departments have said that.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the departments, I think, would take another body, or 3 or 5.
I mean, only thing he suggests, like he said, is he starts deviating some of these duties to the rec leaders. If that's in their job description.
All right, since I'm the one who moved this forward, why don't we just move on? Obviously, we're not gonna get any place without the mayor's okay on it. So we can sit here and talk about it for 2 hours, but that's not gonna do anything, so let's just move on.
Hey, Steve.
All right.
Other changes.
The arts and cultural position,
I mean,
Did
do
that
we know what
grant
this
ever-
what page it is? Yeah, did we hire anything?
I asked today, and I was told as of today, there's no word. I can read an email to you from,
I don't know if I'm just looking at this.
Page 64.
Thank you.
64?
you want me to read?
Yeah.
Council, an email from
Yes,
Emily?
From Addie?
This is, well, from Emily, and because I had sent an email to both Emily and Addie.
Okay.
So, hi John, we have not heard from Novo. We still feel very confident about our applications. Are sure we will hear from them soon. In previous communications, they mentioned that a check would be cut in time for January. The council could be reminded that as far as we've heard, grantees that are invited to apply to Novo Foundation are funded. We have a great working relationship with them and have gotten other indications of support from them, like face-to-face meetings. They attended my Eat Well Focus team meeting last month. Please let me know if there's any other questions.
That's a big if.
What would it look like? Would it be possible to go back and take that job into part-time, and then the monies for the consultant plan? I forgot where she said that was under, that big,
Consultants was 85,000.
yeah.
That was the one to go out and get that firm.
Put that money into contingency. That way, in case it's not, the grant doesn't come through, we're not budgeting for it, and then if it does come through, we could move that around.
Problem is, what do you do January 1st if I
If-
mean, we can move money, but you're gonna have a lapse if you find out in December that the grant's received, how will the council react? If there's a budget transfer put in December, it'll go to January finance, and it would be adopted by the council in February, right? So then there would be a delay in bringing that person on board. Can be done, but that would be the,
No, if we moved it now, right? And we find out, she finds out in another couple of weeks, we would have December finance. So it
Yeah,
would
but
be,
we'd have to be a special, because communications are due Wednesday, so we really
Oh,
have
this
a couple
Wednesday.
days, yeah.
Could always make special finance meeting. Right?
Yeah.
The council can also do the opposite. The council can also reduce,
Reduce that amount.
well, in 2020 as well, if you found out that it's not received.
What do you mean? So if the grant is not received, we can go back and vote on making the position part-time again?
Well, you can always propose a budget modification, right? I mean, you could always propose a budget modification that would change it from, full pay, regular pay to part-time. When I spoke with the mayor about it, he was confident in the grant. He wanted to find, if for whatever reason the grant fell through, he wanted to find a way to
Make this full-time.
find the support to
Okay.
make it full-time regardless, but
But by making her full-time, is that part of this consultant's money?
yes, yeah.
Well, the consultant money is,
No, wait a minute.
is part of the grant, but the consultant money is going towards a,
It's part of the grant, but then if you make her part-time, then part of the grant is for consultant, part of it's for her salary.
Yeah.
That's all right. All right. And right now, what is she,
She's part-time.
she's part-time, so her figures are not, but this figure in here is for full-time.
The grant is 142,500.
plus all the insurance. I mean,
85,000 of
it's probably more than $40,000 plus the 85,000.
What is,
Tony was just asking about the increase in salary, but then it's also with all the insurance too.
So it's 67,472.
That's
for
the total?
everything. That's insurance and everything else.
Retirement, medical, dental,
Yep.
optical.
67,472.
Right.
And part of that's going to be covered from what, $142,000 grant?
correct.
And part of that $142,000 grant is 85,000?
Correct. It's,
Right.
yeah, the consultants is, the $142,500 covers the consultants, some of this other minor expenses, and the salary.
Can you break that down for us?
The Novo
No.
Foundation is pretty, I'm
Oh,
gonna
she
say,
doesn't know what it is right now.
Yeah, they'll work with the city on how to apply that. I mean, I can go grab that if you want me to grab that department's folder. I can grab it, but my understanding was pretty flexible with how we applied it.
John, I didn't take notes, I apologize
Yeah.
for asking again, but the contracted services in 472, 'cause that went more than doubled. Do you remember what that was for?
It was grant related.
Yeah, she just broke it out. I believe her chief saying that she just broke it out more, and the total up to that a dollar figure, I think.
Oh, the total of the 142.5?
She broke that out in terms of regular.
163. So the grants could be for 142, the department costs us 163, is that correct, John?
Right. The
So it's
net,
gonna
the net
be-
cost of the department is $21,000.
$21,000 department cost?
It's costing us.
A little bit, yeah, about 21.
For the department, if we get the grant,
Correct.
21,000.
So it's costing us, so it's a negative, unfavorable.
Yes.
So do we want to make any changes on that?
I mean, it's just a big if. I mean, but I don't
He
know.
was
John says.
confident. The mayor is confident what he thinks he's gonna get it,
And he's gonna, and if he doesn't, he's gonna find a way to do it
to
anyhow.
do it
He would like
anyway.
to try to find a
I'd
way.
feel more comfortable knowing
So I think
whether
we
they
should-
got the grant or not.
I think we should leave it.
When will we
If we
know
have to worry about it,
Whether
we'll
they
worry
got it or
about it.
not.
What do you suggest, John?
It's entirely up to the
Okay,
council.
bounce.
I just give you what the mayor relayed to me.
Jeffrey, what are your thoughts? I know I'm not leading this, but I'm just wondering,
I'd be more comfortable knowing whether they got the grant or not before we decide if we approve this line or not.
Well, then we have to look
But
at
I
the other
guess-
line
I
too.
guess that's not an option
We
because.
gotta look at the health. We gotta look at health then too.
Right.
Because she's relying on this Nova grant too.
Right.
When will we know if?
and there was one grant
we'll
that
get
went
the grant
south
or
this
not?
year.
They thought it was gonna be at the end of November.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
there
they
was a
thought.
grant this year that went south on us.
Was there?
Yes.
A grant that went south on us?
Which one was that?
I don't know which one you're referring to.
I thought I was here. Yeah. Don't anybody remember that? She
That
came
we-
in and said that we didn't get $50,000 or something in a grant.
Yeah, but that wasn't Novo Foundation money.
That wasn't it was another grant though, right?
That's right, yeah. And I think that one was not related. So Novo Foundation is a different animal than the ones that are related to like traffic and, infrastructure and so forth.
Was that an infrastructure grant that didn't happen?
I vaguely remember that, yeah. But I agree with Doug. I think that if we have to deal with it later, we can deal with it later. We've got everybody's phone numbers and email addresses. So, you know, if something happens between now and January 1st, we can still, I think, get together and talk about it, right?
Yes.
So you're saying move forward with it, and then if it doesn't happen, we address it then?
Yeah, so we'll have a December finance meeting, for example, right? So at that time, we could deal with it.
December 18th.
We would have to have heard about it by then, I would think, because if they're saying late November, that still technically leaves, you know, the early part of next week. So,
And at that point too, you could also reach out to the mayor and find out, you know, what his plan would be.
Yeah. So I would leave it the way it is for now. And if something upsets it, then like Brenda says, we'll deal with it. December. Okay, move on. Any other changes?
In planning, what was the consultant line in planning? Why did they go up $10,000?
What
Page, my book is page 72 in the actual budget.
Thank you.
Planning,
Which department? is that?
planning,
Huh?
planning.
Oh, planning.
Consultant cost?
Yeah,
$20,000.
she requested 5 and they recommended 20. I have here for what, and I don't have an answer for my.
I got a little line next to that one too.
Oh,
I think it just
was
came
that the
from.
10,000 for site plan special permits
Which one for planning?
for planning? Line item
The
4.
Developer
consultant-
reimbursement?
That was for the, if they had to hire a consultant to assist with a large project to come in and
Wasn't that
do
that
additional
special
review.
permit
And
or
then there,
something?
right, and then
Yeah,
there
and
was,
she
there
broke it
was an
down.
offsetting fee for
Yeah.
that would be charged
Revenue, right
to the
here.
developer.
$20,000
Yeah, that's what it
planning
was.
revenue. Tom.
Development
Developer
reimbursement. All right, thank you. So it's just gonna wash off.
Yes, it's a wash.
Guys, I mean, I've gone through here myself and I don't really, I know it was another department that was talked about. I don't remember what it was. Building and safety, I'm assuming it was.
Yeah, we wanted to maybe give Steve a few bucks for
Employee training.
employee training.
He had asked for $600 for employee training.
He asked for additional 600, right?
Correct.
Well, I think I asked him what could you use, and he said I could use $600. I asked him if he could, what he needed. You know, one of those what's your wishes kind of question. And he said, I wish I had $600 for training.
Need $2,500, correct, so that's an additional 600,
Okay, so this one.
right?
What page is that?
That's page 98 in the budget, actual budget, building codes. Steve requested that the figure be 2,500. He asked for 2,500, but it was recommended 1,900. I think it was some kind of, I know it has to do with training. I don't have specific kind of training it was going to be for.
What line item was this?
We're talking on item 414.
414.
414, yeah, he wanted 25, right, he wanted $2,500,
Yeah, he wanted $600 more.
right.
I'm fine with it.
Can we give him $600?
Just add to the list and then get to the end.
All right, let's
See
add it to the
where
list.
Where we're at.
We're adding, we're not taking away.
Yeah, we haven't taken away yet, yeah.
I
No,
would, he's the only department head in 5 meetings that has asked for anything more, and he's asking for $600.
Yeah, I know. He's the only one. And he didn't even ask. I asked him.
Oh, yeah.
I asked him if he needed anything, and he said, I'd like some training. He didn't even ask for it.
I mean, I would go along with that. Anybody not? Okay, let's just put it in. $600 for building codes.
we're supposed to be looking at expenses. in order to try to get this line item that we need, right?
He's doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean,
We gotta, yeah.
414 training.
anything that we look
can't
at,
ease
whether
it
it's
down there,
revenue, expenses, whatever estimates you
So
like.
basically keeping it as it was last year,
Right.
no change. Okay. Other changes?
Sorry, John, do we know, it was $2,500 last year. Do we know if he spent that $2,500? Or is that why it was, is that why it was reduced?
There was specific training he said he was looking for as part of the process of after the review. Mayor went through and cut a number of his accounts, so that was just one of the accounts he was cut.
Okay.
But he had mentioned on his way out after that meeting that he had a specific use for that training.
Okay. But we don't know if it was cut because it wasn't spent last year.
No, that wasn't the case.
Okay.
That wasn't the case. He just brought on a number of new employees as well, as you know. Through the budget.
Yeah. We find any money?
All right.
Alderman's raises just went, salaries just went down. 1,000.
600.
Are we?
There's
this is-
lots of little places where you get that from.
This has been brought up to me,
We gotta take it from being
In building maintenance,
Each one of these departments,
in,
and we're gonna try to
what
get
sheet,
that.
Doug?
city clerk's
Let's shoot,
budget.
buddy.
Fuel where they.
Are we comfortable with janitorial
What sheet?
level?
Maybe you're talking about vehicle maintenance, and the department went up.
In the, this would be page 41 in the budget book.
Thank you.
What was your question, or your statement?
Are we comfortable with, what is the level of custodial care in the building? And is that sufficient?
I thought that was increasing actually this year.
Let's see.
Yeah, he went from it was a job change, a job title change. So our part-time day cleaner went from part-time cleaner to part-time maintenance helper, and that includes more money.
Okay, so yeah, so what are we looking at?
I think that's necessary.
Let's get more money.
Same amount of hours,
The position was
Yes.
upgraded.
so it's a raise.
Upgrade
It
it.
includes more.
More responsibility, right?
Oh, there's more
It's in the
responsibilities included
part-time
into it too?
line. It's in the part-time,
Employee.
page 41 of the budget,
Thank
in
you.
the part-time.
And he reports to you?
He does. Both cleaners, so.
There's two of them that's in there, that part-time employees?
Yes.
That's two.
Well, I guess what I'm asking, is that sufficient to take care of the needs of the building? I don't have a position, I'm just, it's been suggested to me, we look at that.
Is that sufficient to take care of the building?
That's up to you. There are things that
Well, you're the one in charge, we need to know.
There are
Are
things
there
that need
thi-
to be done in the building, and,
Are there things that are not
I mean, if
getting
you're,
done
yes,
with
there
our
are things that are
disposition?
not, we rely on Parks and Rec and the.
It's your question.
quite a bit.
Okay.
If you ask a department, almost any department head will always say, well, I could use another body, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you know,
Yeah,
and that's,
Of course.
you know, so, you know.
Why don't we see how things go? And,
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, obviously it's tight with two part-time people, but it's getting done, but, you know, that's what we're all doing in the city right now. You know, we're trying to get through with what we have and trying to be cognizant of the tax and cost.
Okay, so nobody's pushing
that
for
go
this.
down.
Okay.
It
Okay.
should go down, so I was thinking in City Hall.
Electricity, City Hall, right? Just like, electricity. I mean, you're.
So far, we have
much.
two changes, one in the common council,
What's the electricity
raises,
look like right now for electricity?
and building
Do you
code,
have any
$600 for
date-
training,
date figures
totaling
right now?
$6,828.
What are you looking at?
I'm just telling the total cost
You're
Oh,
14,194.
for the two changes.
Right now,
One, the increase in salary for the common council members,
I don't have all the final.
and building
numbers,
code,
but-
422.
$600. So we're looking for $6,828. Got to
There's a
come
lot
from
of
somewhere.
those usually.
If there are no more changes, are there any others? That's it?
Well, Bernie, you said that you could take expenses off of other things. Did you have anything specific?
Yeah, there's some places where some things went up or they didn't go down like in other places. So, for example, the police department asked for an increase of some money for minor office furniture. I was wondering about the traffic signals, because under 422 electricity,
What page you on?
112 is traffic signal, is 112. Well, the police is, oh, I don't have a page number for that one.
Randy, what page you on?
For traffic signal, look at 112.
112.
Oh, 112.
422, line 422, it says electricity. And we're talking about the possibility of taking out like 14 lights. I don't know how soon we're really looking at doing that and what the effect of that would actually be if we did take out 14 traffic lights.
Well, it's not gonna be 14, it's down to 8 right now
Oh, it's down to 8 now? Okay. So that's what, $20,000?
for electric.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But I don't, do you have any idea what the total number of lights is in the city?
In the 40s.
So,
But it did go down,
yeah, it did go down some, but
4,000.
but I don't know if that's because of, I don't know the reason for it going down, if that's counting the possibility of taking out these other lights.
Electricity costs have gone down in a bunch of places, haven't
Because
they?
of the LED lights.
Yeah.
A lot of that's from LED replacement.
I would think that would go down more.
But we're
Yeah.
not replacing the street lights. Wait, this is for the
These are
traffic
traffic
signals.
signals.
We're not replacing them with LED lights.
No, I'm just still on city, building maintenance, like City
Oh.
Hall, their budget for 31,000 for electricity. And I'm just not sure if that could be lowered or not. That's what I'm trying to get.
Well, I think everybody we talked to were just saying it's a guess, so I mean, it may be lower, maybe higher, you know, so we would just be guessing too,
Mhm.
because all of the lights have been switched over in the last year or so.
Mhm.
I mean, the expense was 30,000 last year, it was 28 the year before. It looks like it's gonna come in a little bit less this year, but
Electricity.
So it's budgeted
And this
at
is
31.
for-
31, that's why the budget
Is
was
this for
brought
the
down from
traffic lights?
34.
No, they're talking about,
The-
Buildings,
building safety.
building
That's why the
maintenance.
budget is lower this year for 2020 than it was the prior year.
So isn't it coming
I mean,
lower? Like around?
Potentially, as of right now.
so that might be a place to take out $1,000, $2,000?
Yeah, you could.
Could we say 2,000? Would that be?
Yeah, I think so.
So why don't we do that?
My question on that too, at least maybe you can answer. And City Hall lights have to stay on or something? Do they stay on? I thought when I come past the hall, the lights are not on in this building no more? All right, okay.
The tower, that stays on, but no, I don't
All right.
think it turns off lights.
It does, okay.
You want me to put that in there?
Yeah.
I may.
So we're going to bring that down to 29?
We're gonna reduce electricity, yes, correct, by 2,000.
You know what page the police thing was that you were talking about?
We do, let
86?
me see here.
How about natural gas?
Ed, you got anything for us?
Don't ask him, he'll want
Police
another
department,
person.
page 86.
Don't ask department heads.
Well, no, ask the department heads what they would cut from other departments.
What page?
So, let's see,
86.
486, if you look at line 476, minor office furniture and equipment.
What department?
Page 6 of the book, and it's the police department.
The actual in 2018 was 998. 2019, it went up to $1,000, and then it's jumping to $3,000.
Minor office furniture and
What
equipment.
account are you looking at?
We're looking at police.
This 86, police, line 476, minor office furniture and equipment.
So it's up $2,000, 1,000 for the last three.
Does anybody remember why?
Nobody really
I don't
questioned
think it
that.
was talked about.
Major 476.
Yeah, I don't think we
Big
talked about that.
difference.
Yeah.
I don't think we talked about that, Adam, actually.
No.
Do you want me to go down and grab the folder?
Oh, you have the folder that says everything?
Yeah, I have folders on some of them, there's requests, and then there's
Yeah.
descriptions.
Or we could call the chief, he might not know, so.
Let's see what I can find.
Anything else while we're looking?
Another thing I saw was on page 171, wastewater treatment plant. Line 426.
Vehicle fuel.
Pretty much everywhere else, we've seen that number go down, the vehicle fuel number go down. And granted, this isn't much, but it still went up. So I'm not sure why that would be.
They got any new vehicles down there?
Okay, well, that's gonna have to be rebalanced.
They got any new vehicles down there, Ed?
Randy,
They're putting gas in?
that's gonna have to be rebalanced in the sewer budget then. John can speak to that, but
Oh, so that would be difficult to
it
cross
might be
over?
more difficult. No.
Okay.
Vehicle maintenance.
You'd have to find that money in the
There
budget.
are added vehicles.
There's added vehicles down there, Rennie.
Okay. Can't they drive them less then?
Yeah.
The Vector being one of them.
Okay.
The Vector's now held down there, right?
Well, there's two. We kept the old one. So DPW took possession of the new one back in last year. And then the old one, instead of putting it out to pasture and auctioning it off for being way undervalued, we opted to use it at the treatment plant for those guys to monitor their own pump stations and, use it for maintenance in-house.
How's that working out? Did we say we were gonna sell that, Ed? When we bought the new truck?
That's typically when, that was before I had come here.
Oh.
That was when Joe Chenier had, managed, but, for what we could get for it on auction was.
Pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, it was more cost effective to keep it and utilize it, and get some
Okay.
more lifespan out of it.
All right.
I understand what this central print is.
Desk chair replacements.
Desk chairs.
So do you get a sense that that's like a crisis, or is it that they change them every 3 years when they change out the cop cars, or?
I think it was a crisis. I think it would be done this year, but it's dust chairs.
We need comfortable desks too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you don't know, like I said, nobody, if it's part that one's there breaking down, ready to fall apart.
Yeah, we don't know. They could be pretty beat up down there.
That's true. There's a similar line at the Midtown Center, minor equipment. So this is page 146. There's a big jump in minor equipment at line 479. It more than doubles. From 1,200 to 2,700.
I'm sorry, Randy, what page?
The Midtown Center?
146 Midtown Center. Line 479.
It's a tough one to take.
Well, no. I have no idea. Minor equipment.
$1,500.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this seems to be consistent in Parks and Recreation and a number of these. Lines 479, page 141. Again, this is for parks, minor equipment. Line 479, the number went up by 50% from 4,000 to 6,000.
I can give you the description for the Murphy Center with boxing equipment for parks. It was picnic tables, 4 picnic tables, $500 a piece, a pole saw, and weed whackers.
So picnic tables for what? That's
This
just
is
for
for
parks.
parks minor equipment, weed whackers, pole saw, and picnic tables.
Let's not touch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't need that. Whatever, who knows where they're putting them at.
Bad karma.
Sheet, well, I mean, page 144, Rondout Neighborhood Center, there too, the electricity is going up instead of down, which is done everywhere else.
Okay.
What page is that in?
144, line 422,
Up $700.
and everywhere else it's gone down in some places.
No, wait a minute. I'm sorry, yeah, up $700.
And in other places, it's gone down by as much as 33%.
Were their lights not switched over to LED in that building? Does anybody know?
I think
Julie
just looking
Noble.
at it. We ran $5,500 last year. We're at $4,000 year to date.
And didn't they recently add air conditioning to it?
We gave
That might be why it's going up.
Oh. I think I remembered asking in the meeting. I just didn't write it
I think
down.
we fixed that part of the CDBG, wasn't it? We fixed that.
Yeah, but if they added air conditioning, then that's
Mhm.
just.
Yeah,
Electric,
yeah.
justify electricity going up.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't know. We're going through a lot of papers here.
The building department has increased its revenues, hasn't it?
Yeah. I think they already did quite a bit, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know how much they put in there.
John, why don't we just go to the contingency on this whole thing? One dime in here, then everywhere.
It's completely up to you.
I mean, you're just squeezing a water balloon. And where do you squeeze it? The biggest, it's a small amount relative to the contingency. We're looking at about $6,000, $6,800 less than $7,000.
I have it down to $4,715 right now.
Yeah, because we moved that one electricity line, so it's now down to more like $4,000. That's all we'd be taking from contingency. What is that figure as a percent of the contingency figure?
What, $4,000?
Yeah.
$4,000 out of $1,075,000?
A penny in the pound, right?
No, I appreciate you looking for money.
Yeah.
I appreciate you looking for money.
0.4%.
It's a good idea.
It looks like we're gonna be
0.4%.
nickel and diming.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
No, I know. Well,
come up with what we're looking for.
Right.
yeah.
And did you find out when's the last time we had a raise?
Last time, not we, but last time the county council.
Yeah, I don't have the specific date, but I know that it was when the numbers were adjusted, that was
Before
about
you?
12 years ago.
Before you're done?
That was before my time. I've been
Yeah.
here 12 years.
You've been here
So-
12 years?
The common council in effect has not had a raise in 20 years or so. That's according to Jim Noble. But there was an adjustment to the payment because there used to be insurance benefits of some sort. And about 12, must have been before John came on, 12, 13 years ago, Common Council decided to get rid of those benefits, and so they converted those to salary.
Salary.
So
Except not even, because it still didn't equal.
right. And so that means that the salary that we've got is over 20 years without a change, effective change. And then if you look at quite a number of other councils around, they're making at $10,000. It's not, it's
I think we're
just
all in
not an
agreement.
unusual.
I think we're all
number.
in agreement with the need, and nobody's questioning that, I
Yeah.
don't think.
And my reasoning for,
Yeah.
the reason I'm in favor of an increase is because, I mean, I feel very lucky that I have a job that pays my bills and gives me enough free time to be able to do this. I think there's a lot of demographics that are not, they don't have currently a seat at the table because it's not attractive enough. Somebody who needs to work multiple jobs to make ends meet is not going to be able to put in the 15 to 20 hours that I put into this. So I think at least making it
At least
comparable to what a minimum wage job, a minimum wage part-time job would be, I think might make it attractive for people who are, for example, renters, which we're bringing that conversation up, and we don't have a renter currently sitting on this body. You know, I think it would benefit the city. And let's face it, the system historically has been designed to keep low-income people out from participating.
Snap, snap, two crackables.
And so, yeah, if we went back 20 years and then started adding roughly 2% per year, which is, you know, we regularly adjust the salaries of all the workers in our unions for the city. And if we went back and added 2%, you know, this raise does not meet that.
We'd be
that
making
number.
$12,000 if we had done that.
Yeah. So in a sense, we're still lagging behind to some degree, but I think it's fair to move it up $1,000 this year. We're moving the mayor's salary up by $5,000, and so to me, it's adequate for this year.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement with doing that. It's just where it comes from, without moving the goal line. That is the
$11.90 an hour.
How much?
If you take $10,000, I'm sorry, maybe I got it wrong. I'll do it again.
Is there a math teacher here?
I was just using Jeffrey's number.
And I'm only throwing on the table rather than, you know, looking for nickel and dimes here, the office furniture here and electricity here.
$9.61 an hour. If you put in 20
Just
hours.
go to the contingency.
Up to 15, unless there's a long meeting like this one.
Well, I'm totally in favor of finding the other $4,000 from contingency. I think it's a really small amount, and like we said, there's a
Okay.
number of these numbers that
I can live with
are
that. Yeah.
estimates, you know, so we could spend a lot of time trying to move some up and move some
12,008
down.
So we had two places, electricity from, what were the two,
John has.
we had Department 1620, which is what? Huh?
I'm writing all these down for you.
Okay,
So
so-
I'll do it.
I thought it was City Hall's electricity use.
Yeah.
That's where the two
Yeah, it's building
Building.
And Randy, how'd you come up with that number of 10,000 when Jeffrey's number comes out to below, what is minimum wage now?
$85 now.
No, it's not. Is it 15?
No.
$12.75 then?
Yeah,
12
something like that.
If you work 15 hours every week, it would work out to $12.80 an hour.
Minimum wage?
Minimum wage.
That's close to minimum.
At 10,000, that's
Yeah.
what that works out to.
So we can think about that later, but
We're not even, because we're only going up 1,000, so it was actually
So are we?
9,000.
What I'm saying is, are we even increase? You know, if what Jeffrey's saying is why he wants to do this, is to make it affordable for someone in a low income bracket to be able to do this. They're not even going to make minimum wage. I mean, we're doing this for less. If we work 15 hours a week, I feel like I've been here a lot longer than that this month. Chuck, haven't we been here longer? This has been a long month.
Yeah, this month is long. This month's a long month.
You know, I mean, are we meeting his goal of even minimum wage?
Well, I think
I
it's
think
a
that's a
start.
good
I think it's a
start.
start.
Yeah.
The point is, you want to make it more attractive for people even to run for office to consider.
I understand that point, but it's what I'm saying is maybe it's not even making that. It's not. We're not making it
Probably
attractive
isn't.
enough.
It probably
Well,
isn't, but this.
that's true, but we
You
can-
don't,
we
you do
can
it for
look at-
public service too. You do it
We
to
can look
contribute.
at raising it another $1,000 next year, because our original proposal back in the spring, if you remember, was to go ahead and just increase the mayor's salary by $25,000, increase ours by $2,000. But we're pulling back from that a little bit. It'll save folks money, and then by the next election for common council, if we do add another $1,000 in next year's budget, then we're effectively at that $10,000 mark for the next election, and we'll see if that draws more people. That's one of the things that draws more people out to run for office.
Even even by the time you reach that 10,000 in 2 years, it's still going to be not affordable for someone that Jeffrey suggested might want this job.
Good, then I think we can take that up in the budget for that year. That'll be an election year, and so if we want to make that an election issue, I'd be perfectly
Why don't we
happy
do
to
it
do
now?
that.
Why don't we take care of that now? Right now.
Well,
Take care of it
because
right
we'll
now.
effectively get there. Jeffrey's argument is, do we get there by the next election?
We may not.
Well,
Well,
we
we
could talk
could-
about it next budget season, so we could
Yeah.
plan this ahead, while all the departments are
Why don't we
discussing
take care of it
their.
right now?
We can go to 10,000 now?
Go to
Because-
10,000 right now.
Because the point is, if we want to get it at that level for the next election. We can also talk about it next year's budget. Part of the problem is this budget raise wasn't included in the current budget, so this is an addition. So that's why I'm uncomfortable moving it more than $1,000 this time around.
I'm not comfortable borrowing much more from contingency for,
Right.
especially, I mean, I could see if we have it, and if it's, we did talk about it and discuss it, and then it was, tabled or whatever. I would be feeling more comfortable that people knew ahead of time, and that we're considering a raise. And now to do it at the election's over with, and to say, okay, now we're going to throw ourselves an extra $2,000 raise, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And like I said, in an election year, when you put it all on the table, where people who just might want to run because it's attractive to run now, or might say, we don't want you to do that, then they can put their vote, when they vote, if they want you to have that raise or not. But to after we got elected now and say we're going to give ourselves a $2,000 raise, I'm not comfortable with that. I can see, okay, let's give us 1,000 here, which we're only borrowing like 600 from contingency, and then the next budget, people still will have that opportunity to say, we don't think you should get any more, or you guys are not getting paid enough, you should be raising it. I would be more comfortable like that.
So you're basically comfortable with $1,000.
Correct. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, we're gonna get this raise if this goes through. I really plan. I mean, I didn't get into it for the cash. If I did, we did it a long time ago.
Yeah,
So who
I
knows?
would rather do it in increments too,
Yeah.
especially since this was not even discussed until after the budget was announced.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
uncomfortable, I guess is the proper term. I would rather do it incrementally.
And for what it's worth, Bill Carey told me in absentia that he was comfortable with this proposal. So I would go with that too.
I would too.
Yeah, that's my vote.
You know,
Small steps, because we'll still get there by the next election, or we could still get there by the next election.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's.
Not if you're gonna do $1,000 increments. You're not there.
Well, we
but
can
with
talk about
the next
doing
budget, we
maybe a
make
realistic-
sure the mayor knows when they're developing the budget, we've got a contact through John Tui here. So we make sure that they know that this is one of the things we think is important in the budget, so then it's included in the budget before the next election. And at that point, we can say, if there's a significant economic upturn, we can revisit what the number is. If there's a significant economic downturn, we can also revisit. But it would happen before the budget next time. to some degree, I think this is more on the order of an oversight, that, you know, we're already talking about raising the mayor's salary, and it seems appropriate at this time, after 20 years, to make some movement here, and then make it, you know, a small step, and then we'll see next budget about another increase.
And I feel comfortable too that we're looking places where, you know, even in our budget, the common council budget, that we were able to find money in there to move, to make this lower, and that, you know, we're not borrowing a lot from contingency at all.
No, we're not.
Let's go to a second.
Yeah, I didn't think we had that many.
Well, there's,
It's not that easy, huh? Take it from one thing to another.
alright, so. You wanna, I can, you wanna read this? This is, some of it is the Social Security, it's just tough to.
Minimum wage is $11.80.
No.
Those are really one sheet, you probably should stay together.
Yeah.
Not
And
this
that
time,
impact
next
is
year.
zero.
This is $10,000 in 2 years, if we
There was
get
a
that.
change in
Yeah.
prorated taxes from the recommended to the adopted, that's what that.
So it's gonna be 9,000 of those, isn't it?
That's at the very end.
Can you read that, Doug?
Okay, recommend, from the controller, recommend following changes to the mayor's 2020 recommended budget. Increase building department employee training by $600. Decrease building maintenance department electricity by $2,000. Decrease minority leader to, to all.
The minority leader converting the position to alderman,
Oh.
it's $500 plus $38 for the benefits.
Okay, why don't you read that?
Okay. Decrease common council New York State retirement system cost by $4,000. Increase common council salaries $1,000 per position. That's $10,000 plus $766 for the Social Security benefits. Decrease contingency by $4,715. There's additional prorated taxes, which helps lower the tax levy by $113. The net impact is zero on the tax levy.
Doesn't the mayor have to sign off on these changes?
This common council's budget, he can,
No.
he has it, he can veto
veto
or
it.
accept your
You know, like
budgetary
it,
changes.
we'll pass it, if we pass, whatever we pass, then it goes to him.
Then you can come back to us.
Finance,
It's not really
finance
changing the
committee
budget.
votes on this?
No change in the budget, so.
Yeah, this is finance now? Or is this, yeah, this is finance.
Yeah, so this comes to the floor, we approve it,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then it goes to the mayor.
Did we have to have a special finance meeting?
No,
this is a finance meeting.
This is a
There-
special finance.
This
And there may be additional changes
Oh,
I wanted to speak to.
So this is
before.
going to the
You
mayor,
can-
then it comes back to
You
us.
can put that
right?
through and then.
Well,
there'll be
we have the
another-
vote.
Wanna talk
He
about
could
the
choose
capital
to
budget
veto
and
it,
possibly
and if
adding
he
things
vetoes
into
it, it
operating
could
budget.
come back to us.
Do you
when we
wanna,
do
do you wanna hold on that for a second then?
And I have his word that he's in favor
well,
of
it
this.
Oh.
means.
It could be additional changes.
Yeah, just hold off for,
Yeah.
still got to listen
Yeah.
out.
Okay, all right, because then it would be continued. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So what else do we have to do now?
This is, so I want to pass out to everyone.
Do we need to vote on that now? No.
Then,
Well,
wasn't there
thi-
something that you wanted to bring to
I want to
us?
speak, yeah, there's something else I wanted to bring to you that could impact this.
Okay.
So I want to just take one and pass it around.
Moving stuff from the capital plan? Great.
Yeah, and this is what you and I think you talked about on the phone.
Oops.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take one of these.
Take one, pass it around. It's coming all the way around, buddy.
Yeah, maybe.
How many you have left there? You only need one, right?
All right. Let me know whenever.
So it's the 3 sheets.
3 sheets.
Three sheets.
Yep.
That's
Three
it.
sheets.
Well, start with the,
3 sheets, I got one. I got
They're coming, they're coming.
There you go.
so I want to start with the sheet that is landscape format. This starts with unrestricted unassigned fund balance? Okay, so to recap, the city's unassigned fund balance as of December 31st, 2018 was $8,176,226. The following items, I've listed a number of common council authorizations and actions taken by the common council to further reduce the fund balance in accordance with the city's fund balance policy. You've made a number of actions since December 31st, 2018. What I'm suggesting, and this is just an option for common council to consider. You can decide to do it, not do it, do a portion of it. If the city were to move the following items from the capital budget that have been previously discussed into the operating budget and appropriate a like amount of fund balance, you then could take an additional $542,000 of action to reduce the fund balance, and that unrestricted unassigned fund balance would be at $5,716,726. Of course, this is all pending, the amounts that have already been approved, how much will actually occur prior to the end of the year. It's pending 2019 results, etc. But that $5,716,726 number is at that 13% target. That puts you right there. I would expect at the end of 2019 we'll still be above. We'll still be above that, but at least the council can affirmatively try to take the actions to reduce the fund balance and use the fund balance in a way that will save taxpayers' interest in the future.
Can you explain what that 10%, 13% for people might not
Right,
understand?
so the city's fund balance policy calls for an unappropriated, unassigned fund balance of 10 to 13% of the following year's budgetary expenditures. So we take, as of the last audit, we calculate what that number is, 13%, and it's that $5,716,726. So, and what the fund balance policy states is that the council will take actions to reduce the fund balance to that level. These actions would be the actions you could take to reduce the fund balance to that level.
To the level
So
of
this one.
13%?
To the 13% level.
So this balance.
Pending
right here-
2019 results, so some of these things that the council has approved may or may not happen before the end of the year, depending on timing from when the monies are spent, but at least you've taken the action.
So taking it from
You've
this
approved.
approval to make this figure.
Yeah,
This
you're
figure to
right,
make this figure.
right. So, certainly I can say on my side, the retirement system amortizations, we're paying them in December. We're going to use a significant amount of fund balance there. We've taken other actions. We've paid for the property for Planet Wings. But by doing this, I took the shortest lived assets off the capital plan, and you can see, if you take look at the capital plan, you'll see 2 pages. One is the way it looked like originally as presented. The other is if the smaller items, the ballistic vest, the computer equipment, we're paying for those items out of the operating budget rather than bonding for them. So once again, we'll save taxpayer money by not paying interest costs on those items. So the capital budget would look like, it would just be 4 items. The heavy duty equipment, the fire engine, and the 3 heaviest pieces of equipment for public works. So what it would look like structurally on a budget is you would appropriate another $542,000 of fund balance on the budget, and we would add to these line items that I've listed, additional $542,000 in expense.
So essentially taking a little over a third of the original capital budget, financing that with fund balance, and that leaves us with
Right, through cash that's on hand rather than borrowing.
Right.
For borrowing for it
Yeah.
and interest and stuff on it.
Is there any reason we wouldn't do that,
Yeah,
John?
that makes sense.
So, just the concern. No, I brought it to you because I recommend it.
What would be a reason not to do that?
Well, obviously, the higher the fund balance, the better you look with rating agencies. You bring down interest costs in the future. But you're trying to balance out. If you don't have enough cash, right, you run into cash flow issues. You have potential, cash flow borrowing. If you have too much cash, then you're over that fund balance limit. You're trying to balance that out.
But you don't think that's going to be a problem?
I don't think that's, if we can hover at that 13%, we're okay.
And you
We're
feel like
okay.
we can stay at the
Uh,
13%?
Once again, the lower, taking these actions, obviously at the 13% number, if you hit a recession, if you hit unexpected costs, so it's gonna drop you a little bit below. That's why you have that 3% cushion there, between the 10 to 13, that's over $1 million. I know we talked about we have contracts outstanding. At some point, or a contract outstanding, and we're soon to have another contract outstanding that we have to provide for. But no, I think we can balance it out. I do. Once again, this is bringing it down to 13%. I wouldn't recommend bringing it down lower than the 13%, but certainly I think we can manage out the 13%. And I think, for the taxpayers, I think it's the right thing to do. You save interest costs, computer
And that
equipment.
makes you look good to the rating agency.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to minimize your debt. I mean, instead of adding on,
$1 million.
the 1.5, you're now going to add on less than $1 million. And we'll be in a position to pay off the retirement system amortization this year. So I think it's
from the discussion we had earlier, I knew you were going to propose this, and I'm all in agreement.
I buy
Like
it.
I said, yeah. I mean,
Anybody done?
I'm good with it.
You might have to add another page.
sure.
Got lots of staples.
I know it's
So what I'll do is on this sheet, on the landscape format, I've indicated the account numbers. So you'll see these equipment lines get increased, and you'll see the appropriation of fund balance on the budget will increase from 915,190.
Where's that at?
That is on your
Page 9, 10,
It's on page 6.
6.
It's in a few different spots. It's on page 6. And you'll see it increased by $542,000. I did round a couple of these up by $500, so there's a slight difference, but we'll add 915,190. We'll add $542,000.
Oh, I see, okay. And we're gonna end, wow.
Yeah, and then I'll just say various equipment. I'll have to make a change.
Appropriated fund balance.
And that gets you right where you want to go. So.
Want to add something here per attached or something, fund balance. Does that affect the budget?
It does. We're going to add expenses in the budget, but then we're going to appropriate the fund balance. It changes the adopted expenditure, so it's not going to change the tax levy. It's not going to change the tax rate. It's not going to change. I can add these to here if you want.
Okay.
I'm going to put increased equipment for attack.
Not just for Jeffries, but also
$542,000.
business back, things like that.
At least we're taking this step in the right direction with the raises.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be more comfortable doing it over time, and just that's like, pow, we're gonna increase it like 2,000.
People, right?
Just the look of it.
I know, that's when we
No,
thought
I
it
know,
was
I
like,
know.
oh, I know.
Right after I
But now to say we found money in our own budget
Okay.
lines,
That's
we're
just the
taking money
last two
from
changes.
the
Increase in tax.
$400,000.
Decrease.
So increase equipment per attached, $542,000. Increase appropriated fund balance,
We found $4,000.
negative $542,000. So attach that, and then we need a motion on this.
What's that? Almost a
Who
negative.
wants to stand up?
Appropriate adding the equipment to the budget increases the budget, and then appropriating more fund balance decreases the budget.
Okay. So 916,190, we added what to that?
Is there a motion?
I motion.
To what?
What do you have to that? Five something.
I added 542,000 to the fund balance appropriation.
542,000
Right.
to the appropriated.
Okay,
fund
all in
balance.
favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Passes.
Yep, I have, so I have a bunch of resolutions now you have to pass for the budget. All right. I had to get the numbers first.
So who signed this?
What's that?
Everybody signed this?
Finance.
Oh, it's- okay.
Sorry, hold on.
So now, you still have to approve a capital budget, right? A smaller budget?
Yeah, I'd say if you want to get through all these budget
Okay,
resolutions first.
okay.
44, 464, 3.
Hey, John, I
Yeah.
see here it says decrease minority leader to alderman, $500. Wonder if the alderman wants to be minority leader, decides he wants to be minority, what will happen here?
We'd have to do a budget transfer.
Okay.
Jeez.
Anthony? Does anybody call you Anthony? Does anybody call you Anthony?
This is the judge.
I've never called you
I
Anthony.
don't think everybody's ever called me Anthony. Except for some legal person. So I know when somebody calls the house phone, they ask me Anthony, I'm like, oh, it's just the
Plus
judge.
the smaller amounts, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so because we added $523,000 on the resolution going around, that gets added to the general fund budget that's in page 6 of the budget book. So we have a new resolution from the controller, recommend the approval of the city's 2020 general fund budget with expenditures totaling $44,464,333.
I got a question. John, what could happen to our rating? What do you think's going to happen to our rating?
Well,
Will it go down? And
based
how will that
upon-
affect
based-
us?
Based upon this action?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't expect it would go down based upon this.
All right, thank
you. We have our bond ratings reviewed every several years. The bond rating that we've had a number of years, and we had that rating when our fund balance was a little bit lower. So, no, I'm confident our bond rating. Obviously, you start dropping down in the 10% range. I'd like to get it back up, but we're with this action pretty confident we'll end 2019 still above the 13.
Thank you, John.
Sure.
So we have this other resolution to recommend the approval of the city's general
Yeah,
fund
so
budget.
this is
Expenses
like this
$44,464,333,
to get the adopted numbers.
which takes the one that listing is in the budget
Second.
book and adds on this capital expenditures of 500 and,
42,000.
yeah, 542,000. This adds $542,000 to the amount that's listed in the budget book. And that will come down out of the general fund, out of the, fund balance.
Fund balance.
Is there a motion here?
You got two motions.
Steve, okay? Second?
Second line in there.
Land
All in
bank
favor?
frivolity. Aye.
Opposed?
Snagged another house.
I said aye, I
Isn't
think.
showing this.
Did I?
Just talking about.
Sure.
So this is
It's as if you
total
did.
not to be raised by taxes, that's prorates,
This
that's
one I
it.
just read.
Okay,
That was this, your total expenditures, yeah.
okay. Okay. Now we recommend, the controller recommends the approval of a total of $17,693,207 in taxes
Change.
to be raised by the city's 2020 budget. This amount includes a tax levy of $640,940 and prorated taxes of $42,267. So all this is in the detail of the recommended budget. So this is all per what's already in the budget book, no changes. Okay?
Yep.
Is
The amount to be
there,
raised by taxes, the per rate. The amount to be raised by taxes stays the same. Actually, it's just slightly different because the per rates changed by $113. But your tax levy,
So it has.
stays exactly the same. Your tax levy stays the same.
yeah, okay. Is there a motion?
Motion.
So this figure right here. Add something like that figure.
Yeah,
All right, that's the
it's a
total
540.
appropriation tax.
Yeah,
All
we
in
added
favor?
542.
All in favor, Tony?
Right, and then
Here.
$1,213.
Tony to vote?
Did
Yeah, I voted. Yeah.
All opposed? No.
That's unchanged.
Let's see, where's, these are important papers.
Dang.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Okay, recommend the
Yeah.
approval of the
Yeah.
I need an
city's,
extra copy of that.
this is relative to the sewer budget.
That's-
Recommend the approval of the city's sewer budget with total expenditures of $5,274,785. And I passed that around. This revenues balances expenses on this budget. The motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
So this is the same. Tax levy. So this
See or?
It's already on.
Those two emails.
And you got my email.
This would just have to be attached to that.
This is,
Oh, here, take this one.
And I'm working with Kyle, I'm trying to clean up that box.
this should be attached to the resolution going on?
Nope, that's a separate resolution. That's the sewer, you're adopting a sewer rate which is unchanged from 2019. Stays at $6.19 per unit.
To recommend the approval of the city's 2020 sewer rate of $6.19 per
Something.
unit. That's no change?
How was that?
It's a little bug.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a motion here? Motion.
That wasn't a motion, I was yelling at a fly.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
How about that fly?
Is that what it was?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Moved it like one, sounded like
I
one.
voted yes. Aye.
I voted aye.
And that's where the attached to 992.
Okay, this is authorizing bonding for the items that are
Capital plan.
left on the capital plan. So recommend the authorization of $992,000 in bonding for the city's 2020 capital plan as per attached. So that would be this. I'm going to attach it. Is there a motion for bonding for the capital plan?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
You at least get one of these.
This is the second. You need the other committee report. This is the actual where you
Okay.
authorizing the mayor to enter the contracts and agreements for the capital plan from 992.
Recommend adoption of capital plan in the amount of set $992,000 and authorize mayor to execute all contract agreements. Your motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
think the last item is well, two items. We have base proportions is next, if you want to talk about that.
Committee report on base proportions. As I sent you a few months ago, I'll repass out the worksheet for the local adjustments to the adjusted base proportion. Sorry. Thank you. And the mayor recommended a 20% amount to be added to the homestead.
Is this on our books
No, this is
somewhere?
this is what drives actual tax
All right.
rates.
And under 1903, there's only an allowable tax shares which can be adopted. And the chart on the bottom right explains those consistently since.
What chart?
This chart.
Oh, everybody get it?
Yep. And currently, the homestead class's taxable assessed value makes up 65% of the total taxable assessed value. Without any adjustments to the adjusted base proportion, the homestead would pay 52.5% of the tax levy. So they would be 65% of the total taxable assessed value would pay 55%. And without any adjustments to the non-homestead,
52.
they would be 34% of the total taxable assessed value and pay about 47.5% of the tax levy. But the mayor's proposal will call for the homestead class to be responsible for 55.2 and change percent of the levy when it makes up 65% of the taxable assessed value. And the mayor's proposal will also call for the non-homestead class to be responsible for 44, roughly 0.8% of the levy when it makes up 34% of the taxable assessed value.
So that's the 20%.
That's a 20% shift, and what the council has done historically, I believe since 2010.
What did we do last year?
20%, I believe.
We did the same this year.
Yep.
So what are you saying when you're saying the 34% and this guy?
So-
35.
What I'm saying is the non-homestead class makes up 34% of the taxable assessed value.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
34% of the
Yes.
tax base is
Without any adjustments, they would be responsible to pay 47.4714% of the levy.
Okay.
With a 20% deduction,
It goes down.
reduction, it would result in them paying 44.79786% of the levy.
And homesteads pay 66%.
Correct. The proposal is to pay, 55.202.
That's correct. Okay.
And right now it would be 52.5.
Without any
Adjustments,
adjustments,
yeah.
52.52860.
And why did we adjust it last time?
That's what the council has been doing. The mayors in most recent history have been recommending to do to have equity in tax responsibility when it comes to your assessed value.
Because
Right now we have homestead, non-homestead, we have split shares, and the homestead class does not pay the same rate as the non-homestead class. They pay lesser rate. The non-homestead class subsidizes the homestead class. And that started in 1991 when the city of Kingston did a revaluation, and they decided to adopt 1903, which allowed class shares, they call them.
Which then made it homestead and
Which
non-homestead?
made them homestead and non-homestead, and then they allocated a percentage based on the prior years prior to the revaluation.
And you're saying a normal percentage is 55, 45?
No, what I'm saying, that's the lawful percentage.
Lawful percent.
Lawful percentage.
Lawful percent.
These are the shares on your right, on the bottom right of that chart, the only lawful shares this common council can adopt. They may not be equal to the percentage of taxable assessed value, but since the common council adopted in 1991, 1903, this is the situation that they're in. And the only way to
You mean we're in? Because we adopted this in 1993, we have to adjust this every year to make it equitable.
you
Is
have
that
to
correct?
adjust it to the way you feel is most equitable.
The way we feel is most equitable.
Correct.
Within these
Within those parameters.
from 65 to 52,
Correct.
and from 47 to 34.
Correct.
That's the parameters we have.
Correct.
And why are we choosing 55?
Why are you choosing 55?
Why? Yeah. Why?
You
Yeah. Why?
haven't chose 55 yet, and that was in the mayor's recommended budget.
That's the mayor's recommended budget.
What that does is it makes a small increment in moving the allocation of taxes towards the closer to the actual allocation of the assessed values, right? So, for an example, with this right now in the assessed roll that I received from Dan today, 66% of the assessed roll is homestead properties, 34% is non-homestead. So over time, over the last decade, the city's been making small steps to close that gap between the amount of taxes that are allocated to the non-homesteads versus the actual proportion of assessed value of non-homesteads.
Now, what is this? How does the fact that non-taxable properties in the city, let's say,
Taxable property, non-taxes,
Churches.
churches, things like that, entities like that, how does that play into this figure here? I mean, are they increasing in the city? Are there more non-taxable properties? Or is that happening in the city? Is that why our numbers are like this?
I recently did a quick look back for Alderman Carey over the past 5 or 6 years, and that total number of parcels has not changed dramatically in any way, shape, or form.
In the last 5 or 6 years?
Correct. We asked me to look at the non-profits in the city, and that total of parcels has swayed back and forth. And, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but it's very close. We talked about it.
I know you weren't here at the time, but what was the prevailing philosophy as to why the non-homestead should pay?
Well, what happened was during the, from
No,
my
the homestead should
understanding,
pay.
speaking with when the Benjamin report came out, they did research, and we did research of our files and asked around. And what happened when they did the revaluation was they realized they came up with new numbers, and the homestead class took on more responsibility. And when they saw what was going to happen to the homestead rate at that time, they said, "Oh, we don't want to do that. So what do we do?" And they found this law in New York State that allowed them to go back to the class share of the year prior, accept the new assessed values, but ignore the equity that the new assessments came out with. So that's why they did it.
And so the problem is, our business taxes are out of whack with lots of other municipalities in New York State, right? They're paying a higher percentage than is the standard, or?
I wouldn't say that. It's there are multiple communities that are in homestead, non-homestead, 1903, and their council and our council's decision as to what rate they are, what portion of the tax levy they're responsible for.
But the Benjamin Center report basically says that was to some degree a mistake.
Well, from the Benjamin report really was focused on what's happening to values. There was this theory that because we have homestead and non-homestead, that commercial values were just stagnant and they couldn't go anywhere. But I think in the past few years, we've realized that that myth has been debunked.
And we can.
After the report came out.
Can we get out of this formula?
Yes, you can do a revaluation and then opt out. You have to do a revaluation opt out.
Reevaluation of all the property.
The whole entire city.
Well, that'd take like a week or two, right?
A couple bucks.
Substitute week with year.
Okay, committee report from assessment, local adjustments to the, sorry, Patrick, you have a question?
Patrick, yeah.
Let me think for a second. Come on, somebody's got to ask this guy some questions.
Come on.
Somebody's got to ask this guy some questions, come on.
Before.
Nobody? Come on.
Can you give us a sense of, on $100,000 of home value, homestead value, what does this change mean in terms of the actual taxes paid if everything else stays even next year?
I have a tax model. I can tell you what the rate would be for, different options. We run this as part of when we're doing the budget. So under this model, where we're at right now, if you want to, it probably would help if you write this down.
So you give us
using
an example.
right, I'll give you an example. We're using the 20%. I'll give you what the 10% looks like, the 25% looks like, and the 20%.
For homestead and non-homestead.
Yeah. So for 2020, the tax rate with the assessed value we have right now, it'll change a little bit. It's 9.04 for homestead.
9.04.
04 for homestead, because the assessed value roll, the assessed roll is not final yet. 904 for homestead, 14.24 for non-homestead.
14 what?
0.24 for non-homestead. If you decided to use a smaller shift, and you said, okay, let's do the 10% and bite off less of the apple. The homestead rate would be $8.83. And the non-homestead rate would be $14.67. And let me just take one step back. The $8.83 for homestead, that would be a decrease of 9.32%, and the non-homestead rate of $14.67 would be a decrease of 5.9%. Okay.
Where's that from?
From the 2019 rates.
Okay.
Right. So the 20% gets the rates, the shift between homestead and non-homestead in terms of the rate, the closest. So just going back to the rates under the 20%, the rates for homestead drop 7.07%. 0.07% for homestead, that's the 904, that's a 7.07. The non-homesteads drop 8.62. So that's the closest. Now,
So 10% is 14.67, but 20% is 8.62.
what did you have for
You just told us that 20% went to 8.62, John.
8.62% drop?
All right, so
What does
what
that
is-
mean?
Yeah, what is?
Oh, it's just a small drop, you're saying?
Right. So do we want to talk rates or do you want to talk percentages?
Yeah,
Or
we
do-
can do both.
Well, you were doing both.
Okay, right. So with the 20%, the rate is 9.04, which is a 7.07% drop from the prior year for homesteads. The non-homesteads is 14.24. That's an 8.62% drop. So
Okay.
both with the 20% model, both rates are dropping. They're dropping pretty close to each other.
At a more equitable
A
level.
little more equitable.
I see.
Under the 10% model,
Yeah, okay.
let's go back to the 10%. So
Sorry about that.
that's all right, Glad. No, I built this in for this reason a number of years ago, so I could do this on the fly. It's not the first time we've had this conversation. So, all right, so
I remember last time, too.
every year. So with the 10%, the homestead rate drops to 8.83, right? I gave you that. That's a 9.32% drop from the prior year.
9.32.
9.32% drop. The non-homestead rate drops to 14.67. That's a 5.9% drop. So there's a little more disparity in the decrease between the homestead and non-homestead. Everybody got to have those numbers? All right. So I'll do the 25% now. In that model, the homestead rate drops to 9.15%, or I'm sorry, it drops to $9.15. That is down 5.94%. The rate would be 9.15. It's down 5.94%.
Went up.
Okay. The non-homestead would be 14.03. That's down 9.99%. So there's disparity there.
So clearly the 20% is the more most equitable.
Well, if you look at the 20, looking at the 25%, okay? And there's other factors in here. With the 25%, the actual city tax levy paid by homesteads goes up 2.18%, but the rate drops 5.94%. So they're getting a little more of a tax break.
The homestead?
I'm sorry, the 25%.
What was the rate? 20%? Percentage drop?
I do.
It was $14.24
One second.
On which? On
at
the-
20%. 7.07 and
14.9.
One second, I'm sorry.
that's the
14.9.
dollars.
No, that's the percent.
What are you looking at?
It's a drop.
Right, okay.
That's what I
Here,
was-
a better way of explaining it. The assessed roll for homestead is going up 8.64%, but this would drop the rate 5.94%. Essentially, with the 25%, the non-homesteads are getting more of a break than they are with the 20%. The 10%, the break is going more to the homestead, and the 20% it's more equitable, it's in the middle.
So you got to figure like, if it's $100,000 property, or no, you don't have that calculated?
I have all that in there.
I can give that to you. At 20% homestead's 904, 10% it's 883, 25% it's 915. That's based on $100,000 property. Okay.
Yeah, so let me,
But I think what the council should be focusing on is what is the objective here? Is it to close the gap of homestead, non-homestead and have a more equitable role? If not, then you can go ahead and pick your rate. But I think what the councils in history have done is notice that this potential system that we've adopted and this bucket that we're in, the best resolution is to move forward and try to create equity in the tax class shares and do that in the most reasonable and responsible way.
and there's generally, the choice is generally, if you want to close that gap, or even if you don't want to close that gap, the choice is, in this case, between the 10 to 20 and the 25. The 10 would be regressive, it would go the opposite direction. The 20 would go a little bit in the direction of closing the gap. The 25% would go a lot more. There's no option to stay exactly where we are. So you either regress,
At 10%.
at 10% you regress, you actually would be allocating more taxes to the non-homestead percentage-wise than you did the prior year. In terms of that gap, you would increase the gap if you went to the 10%. 20% you close the gap a little bit, and then 25% you close the gap even more. So the 20% is what the council has gone with the number of years over the last few years, because the calculation works out similarly each of the last few years. You're closing a gap a little bit, you're not regressing, but you're not making a giant step either, and putting more of a burden on the homeowners.
Is it possible to calculate a ballpark figure for if we made the 20% change every year, how many years it would take for us to get to those two numbers, 66%?
You'll never get there.
You can't, you
get
never,
there. You keep taking 20% of what's left over.
yeah, you're taking
Never get
20% of the difference each year.
You're sitting
Okay,
at-
so at some
Keep
point,
taking 20% of your the number you end up with.
So this
You
is
just keep taking
$100,000.
20%.
all right,
So
so if
the
we
only
really
way out
wanted
of
to
this
see,
is for revaluation, council to adopt it,
No, like, that's at the 20%.
That was a 10%.
and the money's required to do that.
Homestead.
And
They
then
would be
also at the same
paying
time,
that
opt out of
$100,000
per thousand. So that's times 100, so it'd be like $803.
but if we went at 100%, that would cause some huge disruptions in terms of what one of the classes pays, right?
It would, but then next year, it would reset again, we'd come up with new numbers again. It wouldn't make it go away.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Don't wait for this to go away, it's
And,
for us to
what-
get out of this 19.
John, financially, why, Why do we want it to be this way?
There's no financial impact.
There's no impact at all on city finances.
No, I'm not talking about that. I mean, for the homestead and non-homestead people. Why do we want to do this? Why does it make it a good thing to do?
To do what? To close the
To
gap?
to close the gap. Why does it make that?
I think
Because
Dan,
if not, historically, we keep seeing, if we don't make adjustments, the non-homestead class from historically keeps on taking more and more and more burden of the tax levy. Keeps spreading out, okay?
So the business owners.
Yes, correct. The commercial properties will take on more and more responsibility, the way that the economics of the real estate are today, and have been historically since, I think, 2000, around 2000, when we look back at it, okay? They're just gonna keep taking on more and more responsibility. So, if we wanna hold that tide, action needs to be taken. If not, if you wanna have that non-homestead class taking on more and more responsibility.
Shouldn't we be looking more at maybe what it costs the city for a non-homestead property as compared to a homestead property? Isn't that the real deal here? You know, what's it cost to pick up their garbage? What's it cost to maintain their sidewalks in front of their house, in front of their property? All the things that the DPW does, all the things that we do in the city. Shouldn't that be the driving factor? Which one of these does an acre of homestead land cost the same to maintain, or as a parcel on Broadway or Uptown Kingston, or is he putting more people on the job up there? Is there more assets, city assets being used for the non-homestead? And isn't that the driving force?
I don't believe so. I don't think that's why that council adopted in 1991. They did it to, when they realized that they were going to put more tax burden on the homestead class. They came up with a mechanism.
No, I know why they
came
did
up
it.
with a mechanism not
I
to
know
do it.
why they did it, but when we're thinking about this increase or decrease or equaling of shares, I mean, isn't that what we should be looking at? Isn't that the bottom line for the city taxpayers?
But
Who's using the resources, and then that person should be taxed appropriately?
But the businesses on Broadway, they have to maintain the sidewalks themselves, just like the homeowners have to maintain the sidewalks. And the cost of garbage for taxpayers, I mean, I can't remember what it is exactly. It's what, $30?
It's based on, I think, $150,000 assessment. It's about $21 a month for all DPW services.
So we're not talking about that much, out of your taxes that are going towards that. So, I mean, I don't think there's going to be a huge disparity between the two. I mean, I don't think they're paying a lot extra for that.
And New York State has a tax system that's based on your value, for the value of your property.
Value of the property.
Yep. So there's some special assessment that the common council would like to apply to specific properties. They can make that decision. But,
No.
But New York State has a per value.
All right, thank you.
And that's how they equitably distribute tax.
You don't want to live up to
Thanks.
the conspiracy theories?
What's that?
You don't want to live up to the conspiracy theories?
Oh.
That's what we do?
Yeah. No, I just wondering, why we're doing things, and I'd like to understand fully why we do things. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
And why we don't do things other ways.
Yeah.
That's all. Thanks, Dan.
So there's no real way to change this. We could opt out, if you're saying. But we would have to come up with our own formula?
You would have to do a revaluation.
That's
We
right.
would have to do a revaluation and just opt out. And then we would be like a majority of the communities in New York State, and our property taxes would be based on everyone's equitable value, not on different class shares.
And is there a study that compares the two systems in terms of equitability? No? Okay.
Hey, Dan, now if it's based on value, right? Assessed value. The last assessment was how long ago?
Last revaluation
Yeah.
was in 2008.
So,
And we annually trend values what we're seeing in the marketplace to keep up with the changing marketplace.
Oh, so you actually do trend values?
Correct.
Like those, like the fact that almost an abandoned building uptown Kingston in 2008 is now selling for $1.5 million. I mean, has that been taken into account?
Yeah, so we look at those sales each year, and there's not just one sale just like that. We look at all the different sales, and the state looks at all those different sales, and we come up with some trending values to make adjustments for those specific marketplaces, whatever they are, whether it be a valuation district, residential or commercial, uptown, midtown, apartments, hotels, whatever we can break down and see some valuation changes in, we'll make those changes to the best of our ability. Definitely, the further you get away from revaluation, there's definitely going to be some distortion in the role, and we try to, make those changes where we see them.
Thank you.
So, for a vote, local adjustments to the adjusted base proportions adopt allowable tax shares as follows. Homestead 55.20214%, non-homestead, not percent.
What is it? What do you have, 55 point?
55.20214,
Yeah.
and non-homestead 44.79786. Okay. Is there a motion? Motion.
Second.
These right here, these are
All in
rates.
favor?
These are this.
Aye.
These are rates for that.
Opposed?
So it's not like 100,000.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Dan.
Sir.
Right, so like, I have
Yes.
Fee structure.
right, so there was a fee schedule that was sent out. We just have to adopt the fee schedule.
Okay, fee structure going around. Just pass it, all right, here. Take it, pass it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Should be the same fee schedule. Thank you.
You need one?
No.
Let's see. How do we-
Well, if there's an action, I'll take it. There's gonna be a discussion on it.
So what are the major changes on here?
They're noted.
Yeah, because they were probably being read, right? Or is it the ones where lines crossed out? I don't see
Has
that.
anything changed? Can we take,
See.
want to see
Yeah,
changes?
City Hall,
Oh.
space rental, builder room, usage fee.
Yeah,
Where
so
are we
to
see,
55?
crossed
How do we
out.
sell changes?
Got a crossed out line.
What?
You got a crossed out line. You gotta really look at it. See that one? 40 is crossed out and it looks like it's 55.
Where?
Up at the top,
The going from first
page
page.
148.
Oh,
Building
okay,
room
that's a
usage,
change? Okay,
City
thank you.
Hall.
I
That's the
didn't,
only change?
I was looking at page 2
No,
there.
there's
Three.
another couple.
There's also mattress,
one-
box spring,
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
placement of signs and banners,
On 151,
151,
54.
151 's a
Rental for the
change.
Rondout.
John,
Rondout.
can
Do you want me to just go through what I'm aware of
would,
changes?
please, yeah.
And maybe I can just point them out, and then if there's any discussion, we can circle back. First page, building room usage fee from $40 an hour to $55 an hour, the usage fee. Second
What is
page,
that, John? Say- say-
$40 to $55, you'll see a cross off on
Oh,
building room
okay, all
usage
right,
fee.
okay.
Second page, electrical permits. Electrical permits, that's a whole new section, $50 to $200. See
Oh,
that-
that's
all
all-
the
Oh, yeah,
electrical
that whole-
permits,
that's a whole
That's a
thing.
new section.
That's all new.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
That's
believe we touched on
Yeah.
that at building department.
Yeah.
Before, there was no cost for electrical.
There wasn't, there were licenses, there's no permit.
Okay.
So this is if you want to do work on your house, residential, any kind of electrical work, it's going to cost you $50 to have an electrician come over and work on your house?
Steve would have to explain exactly what that entailed. He's not here.
Yeah, that's basically what,
Yeah, I
electrical
mean,
permits. They were gonna do electrical work on you, they would have to pay a $50 permit. Any new construction,
It was 100.
which is like, residential. So like commercial, like East Ware, they're paying new construction, so they're paying $200 for electrical permits. Like East Ware, that's going on right now on Broadway. That's good.
No, I understand. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering about the residentials. I mean, you hire an electrician to come over and put some light fixtures in your house, and it's a $50.
They're gonna
$50.
tag that into your bill.
They're gonna add another $50 onto your bill for that. No.
Next page, building department. Working without a permit fee. It was,
Where is this?
the next page, well, no, sorry, still second page. Building department, bottom of the page. Working without a permit fee. Those fees have changed. There was a $250 permit fee before, plus permit cost first instance. And then there was this added in the second instance and then each instance after a second instance.
So that's what people were not getting the permits. So you paid the $50 or you paid the
No, that's for
$250.
electricians working with it. No, that's for is that without a permit or is that electricians without a license?
Just says working without a permit fee.
Without a permit fee.
Next page, the roofing permits near the top, that's all new.
So you gotta even get a roofing permit now to change your shingles.
Under parking, we added, under parking meters, we added language to indicate the severe disability waiver for metered parking is available through the Kings Police Department. That's not a change in, it's always been available, but it hadn't been listed on the fee schedule, so we want to include that. The following page, towards the bottom, Rondout, this is on page 151, Rondout and Murphy Center rental. The fee has gone up on the first line from up to 8 hours. You see the cross off from $50 to $55 an hour. And then we added a fee in there for the movie rental for the $450.
What was that before? Or that
It
was
wasn't-
they
there
did
was
the
no
regular
separate fee.
275.
There wasn't a separate fee. So it was just the up to 8 hours, the $275, right, plus the $50 an hour.
So that's if they want to show a movie there?
It's not if they want to show a movie. That's if an outside
Oh,
entity
the
wants to
movie
come in
companies
and rent the building.
They run a rent a building, movie
Yeah,
company.
Yeah. And
Plumbing.
if you go to page under plumbing, there's a lot of new items there.
You can see the different ink.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get to plumbing right. So wherever you see the lighter colored font, that's all new.
Gas
Under
license,
plumbing.
oil heating license, license renewal fee, and license reinstatement fee. Right?
Yeah.
Nothing in the police department?
I don't have anything in the police
Yeah.
department. Under
Public work?
public works,
Can I just ask a question back to the police department? Very last page, actually the first.
Police
thing.
department, page
Police,
153?
yeah, the
Last
last
page.
page. The taxi license fee,
Yeah.
does this strike anyone else but me as pretty high? I mean, that's like one of the highest license fees we have for guys who don't make much.
Is that to the driver or to the owner?
I'm not quite, and is it a one-time fee or is that an annual fee?
that's to the owner. The taxi cab driver's license is $75. So the
Yeah.
$500 is to the company.
All right, so that's for the owner.
Yeah.
Who's making the profit?
All right,
Now, what about Uber drivers?
they don't have any, right?
They don't have anything.
So these guys are getting hit for $500 and there's another guy drives his car around, gets nothing. Has no fee.
Right,
Drives his own Toyota.
Because they're using their own vehicles, is that why?
Yeah.
So if I want to run a taxi company, I can get it's going to cost me $500 for the
For
cab
each car,
and then
For each?
for each car.
right?
$500 for each car?
Is it?
I don't,
No,
I
that's
don't
a
believe
license.
so.
There's just
No, I think
license
that's-
to operate.
The taxi license.
That's for the company.
Oh, that's the whole company.
Right, and then there's each taxi cab registration fee is $75. And there's a license fee for the drivers.
So if I want to start a taxi cab company, it's going to cost me the $500 and then $75 per licensed driver. But if I decide to run an Uber, it's nothing.
Licensing fees for
Nothing.
Ubers and what?
No, isn't there something
Why are we
that the
doing this?
company, I don't think we can,
No, there's a
Legal
loophole.
there's a
in the legal
loophole that
system.
Uber and Lyft have used that we don't have the ability to add anything. I don't
That's
know
something we-
exactly that, but there's some kind of loophole that they use. It's why when I go to the city, I use Yellow Cab.
Okay, so there's a loophole, but why aren't we being considerate of that?
This fee
That people are being
to a progressive fee?
treated. I wonder how the taxi people feel about that.
Well, and that's higher than any other license fee that I can find on here. Plumbers pay less, electricians
Oh, I see,
pay
that's
less,
it.
and they make a lot more than the owner of the taxi cab.
What's the justification? Do we know?
You'd have to ask the police chief.
That's-
I know at one point, a couple of years ago,
Yeah, number
a lot of the departments, they compared their fees to what other municipalities charge. So we tried to adjust those that were out of line. Jerry Marion is the officer who administers those, so if you
Oh,
can
I
either
don't
reach
have
out to
Jerry.
Chief or Jerry Marion.
The chief around?
I get text, so I don't.
Does anybody know the chief? Call them right now.
Are you already calling him? Oh, at least Tony's got it.
Okay.
Oh, Tony, you should have let her call. He may pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's calling, don't answer.
Yeah.
It didn't dawn on me right away.
Can we increase the
Tires.
ATV impoundment fee? How many ATVs get impounded in a year?
Nope. Can't get to a phone right now.
No.
Then you try and see.
What's he doing anyhow?
Power of away.
And that didn't go up, right, John? That's the same fee.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, it's probably one of the barns. I mean, it doesn't look like it changed. That looks like
No,
it's been
it's the
there for a
same.
while.
What
there's
has-
no change there. I'll keep going, maybe we can circle back.
Yeah.
I think so. I didn't
The-
understand
on
what he was
page-
saying.
Yeah, me neither.
Sounds like.
On page 154, the leachate fee is increased from 7 cents a gallon to 8 cents per gallon.
Yeah, Clark, right there.
Leachate. Up, where's that? Up in the Sawkill Road?
This is what the treatment plant charges to process leachate that comes off of landfills,
From outside.
basically from outside.
Resource Recovery Agency, whatever facility.
Basically,
Outside, we
water-
process
water-
leachate
water
from
consumption
outside
has to
facilities?
be-
Is that a profitable endeavor?
Yeah, we make money off of that.
What?
8
That's
cents a
revenue.
gallon.
Sounds like Perrier.
Yeah.
We make money from that, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do.
And it tastes as good.
So, can I ask a question? So, I think I asked this before too. So with the excessive trash,
Mhm.
the fees, so are we talking about if there's trash on the outside of the container, that's
Yeah.
when there's a fee
Yeah,
charge?
if there's a pile of trash alongside the container.
So how, you guys actually weigh it, or do you kind of just use your judgment on,
We judge what it's, the volume of it,
yeah,
and if it's out, you're allowed a 196 gallon container. If you have two more piles that are the size of that container. it's
right,
excessive
right,
trash.
right. Okay.
And you
Okay.
usually
No, 'cause
give
I
out
see it a
some-
lot, I'm wondering, I see a lot of the garbage containers, they're like full, and the
And
lid
then
is not closed,
Right,
but
they're
it's
stacked
still
up.
in the,
Yeah, we typically let that slide. It's when
Okay.
there's multiple bags alongside that.
okay.
So you give them a warning.
On multiple
right?
days usually, right?
Yeah,
Do you give them a warning?
we do typically give them a warning, but if it's something that we have recorded before, they will get a fine, yes.
And so what do you do, send a letter?
Well, actually Pam has now started knocking on doors and trying to educate people, but that, mainly on the recycling side, but there's problem areas and there's repeat offenders. with the trash, it's usually at the rentals locations.
That's typically the people that need
You
a
drive
second.
for
then
Uber,
don't wanna
Lyft,
pay
or
for it.
whatever.
Right, they have the option.
So what I mean, you don't need a
to
commercial license.
Pay for
No.
it, and
You don't need anything.
landlords don't do that.
So, I mean, why aren't we adjusting
Right,
for
clean
that
license.
societal blip that's happening? I mean, it's the fact that Uber happened and now we're still treating our people who transport our residents around like it didn't happen. It happened. And now we're nailing people who want to transport our residents, which is a vital service, by the way, in the city of Kingston.
Yeah.
And we're treating them differently than people from Rhinebeck and Red Hook who are driving Ubers over here.
I think, isn't it state law? Isn't that the issue here?
With Uber?
Well, that
Yeah.
we don't do anything
Yeah, but
as
the-
far
but
as,
the fees
he's saying, why don't we
are
adjust
fair.
the fees for taxi cab drivers?
I know that.
since
So that
they're-
we can be more equitable and keep,
Oh, I see what you're
and keep this
Yeah,
vital,
anything.
vital part of our transportation system healthy. I don't know if this is gonna make it any healthier or
I think
less.
the shift is really, I mean, most people use Uber and Lyft now, rather than they.
Well, no, there's a lot of people that still use it. There's still a lot of Kingston cabs around. There's still a lot of cabs. You
Yeah.
see them. There's still a lot
Yeah,
of those
I see
cabs
them.
around.
But I think that's part of the point, that people are going to Uber and Lyft, but we're still charging.
But we're
the
still
taxi
charging,
cab.
yeah, I understand, yeah.
Well, one of the questions would be, what's the differential in the income of an Uber driver versus a taxi cab driver? Do we think it's the same or
Well, I'm
significantly different?
I'm more concerned with
I
the,
think it's less.
Taxi
the
cab
equity in
makes less than
a
Uber.
taxi license as opposed to a plumber's license. I mean, this is more than a plumber's license fee. And I dare say a plumber is making more than a taxi cab owner.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
but the
tried
plumber
looking up
may
the
be doing
reason
5
why,
or
it's
6
not
a
coming
week.
up.
You know, I mean, this is, for the taxi, it's one time.
Is it?
No, it's a licensing
This
fee.
is a license fee, so.
So if you want to become a licensed plumber in the city of Kingston, what's the fee? And
Oh, I see. I'm
if
sorry.
you want to be a licensed taxi cab driver, it's
So
more.
it's an annual fee.
And then you go to, well, how much does a cab driver get out of that fee? Ubers don't get all the money out of a fee. They gotta pay a ridership fee, et cetera, et cetera.
No, I understand that, but that goes back to a corporation somewhere.
John, do we have any idea how many taxi cab licenses we issue every year?
I don't know if I might be able to pull up how much revenue we're taking in.
It says here,
Which is
Uber
taxi-
drivers take
Taxi
25%
ones, I don't
of the
think
fare.
there's too many.
25%.
They get a
Okay.
25, the driver
that?
I
does.
think there's only a
Uber, the
couple
company,
taxi
gets
companies in the
75.
city.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Driver's key 75% of the total.
Oh,
Uber gets 25%.
So how does that-
Oh, they get
Yeah.
Right.
Last year we made $2,700 on licenses in the police department. This year we're at $3,700.
3,700?
Yeah, we're not.
so it,
I don't think there were that
So
many taxi
only 3
companies
people
here.
pick this $500?
Wait, that's just for the license?
So only
Taxi cab
seven,
driver license?
there's 7 companies in
Hey,
town.
Doug Bernie has a question.
There's 7 cab
I have
companies.
a question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Barry.
What's the difference in the fee between livery cabs and taxi cabs?
Tony,
Because
You told him to call?
Yeah, you want me to call?
Yeah, I can call him back.
What, livery? Is that?
livery cab, and it says right on the plate, livery cab and taxi cab.
We don't have
It
any.
used to be livery you had to call. Taxi, you could pick them up on the street or they can, but I don't think that's enforced. And I
No.
think there's a lot of livery cabs, and some are personal individuals, they don't belong to a cab company, doing it, okay? And if you go up to Hannaford, they got in the no parking zone, 4 or 5 of them parked in the no parking.
And they say
zone.
livery on the side.
No, it says taxi cab on the side and livery on the plate.
So these guys aren't paying their $500.
I don't know whether they
Yeah.
are or they're not, I'm just saying it should be looked
so
at.
they're finding their own loopholes too.
They're finding loopholes too.
Okay, he's on speaker.
Hey, chief.
I didn't want any part of this.
Scared him away.
Oh, my
Like, I thought it
goodness.
was just a wife, not the council.
How do we keep track of the taxi cab businesses here in the city of Kingston? Like, how do we Do we just rely on them to come pay their license fee if they decide to open up a?
Officer Marion tracks them.
Hey, Chief. Hello?
It's stable.
Good day.
Wow, you don't want to do this.
It's not in a good location.
He must
Where do you
not
live,
be
Shan
good.
Bacon?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Parts of our farm have very little Wi-Fi.
What's the question on that?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Why
Yeah,
is
you
it
got why fines $500?
$500, why is it
And
so?
how do we arrive? I mean,
I'm assuming they have to come someplace.
Yeah, why the number 500?
Well, when you came up with the fee, when the fee
It's
schedule
all
came up,
occupational
Is
licenses
this-
of the police department, so it could be
and
the
so it's the
individual
con,
licenses.
compared to
that-
other
That's
municipalities.
what
But
John's
Kingston-
earlier.
I don't know-
Kingston
I don't
doesn't
think
make
that
the
that's
same as
the
the New York City
annual.
taxes. So if we're comparing to that.
Oh, I doubt this, any of
Well,
this
where are we
is.
comparing it
I-
to?
So these are all new
You
fees.
need to say it, but I don't think anything is compared to
$375,000
New York City, so.
Taxes are
No, there's
same.
nothing new with taxi.
No, it's all new.
So what is this,
I
a
think it's an
yearly
annual
fee
fee,
or?
right?
Yeah, they're in-
I think it's an annual.
A year, so
Yearly?
every year they have to renew their
The
license.
company, and then the.
And we've only made $2,700.
Although maybe
37
That's
this
not
year.
Maybe it's
clear,
an
that
initial
that
fee, I
includes
don't know.
all the police license fees.
Because down below.
Oh, that's
That's
all the
it says
police
annual.
license
Yeah, so it's not just
It's
the
not
taxi
just
cab driver's
inspection.
license.
I don't know if it's,
So is anybody actually paying that fee?
So
Yeah,
clearly
I know
people
one
are not
person
paying the
does.
fee.
Too many questions here.
Yeah.
They can't be paying the fee.
well, you're not changing a fee. That fee's already been there.
That fee's been there, yeah, it's
Can
been
we,
there for,
Yeah, but things have changed.
yeah. So what do you want to do? You guys are questioning, what do you want to do with it?
Well, I want to find out why it's there.
Yeah, I just would like to see the reasoning for it. We can address it later. I mean, we don't necessarily have to address it tonight, but,
Oh, we do.
We have to address that
Well, if
tonight,
we're-
John?
well, if we're gonna change it.
Well, we can amend it.
Either here or at caucus, but it would be ideal if we could
Do
pass
it
the fee
now.
schedule at the December council meeting.
Yeah, he must.
How could you go up a penny on that leachate?
That penny is,
A lot of gallons.
penny adds
Some
up.
good leachate down there.
Lots of leachate.
So you guys want to make a
It's
proposal to
not the
change
penny,
it?
it's
That's on you
16%.
guys.
16% increase.
It's 16% increase, thank you, Brandon, that makes it more palatable.
And if we go any higher than that, they'll take it elsewhere.
There you go.
So can we reduce the driver's license fee?
Are we doing the driver's license? You're talking
Because,
about
I
the
mean,
license
this-
fee of $500 too? I don't know what's going on.
1%.
I'm fine with keeping the driver company fee at $500.
They're the ones
but-
making the money.
Yeah, the
Good.
driver license,
You would have-
Right,
That's-
especially when the Uber drivers don't have to pay it.
yeah.
Well, we don't know what they have to, actually. They pay 75, they pay 25% of their fare.
They're not paying a license fee though.
They're not paying to the city. They're paying it to the company.
All right, Tony, how you doing?
Again? Hey, we got you. Hey, Chief, we had a couple of questions in regard to this fee for the taxi. Why it's $500? It hasn't changed in a long time, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, it's been a long, long time since that changed. Anything to do with the taxi fees has been pretty much set for a long time. I couldn't even tell you what year that was. I think Keller was still chief then.
But I thought the taxi cab driver's license fees did go up in the last couple of years.
I don't recall. They may have. I don't have the information in front of me. Sorry.
Okay.
So now, is this based out when you have broken down, John, too, he was looking at the budget, is that separated? Right, did you see the fees were all together?
Well, there's the business and occupational licenses, which I believe all the taxi cab fees are in there.
You hear that?
But you had,
That's correct. So it's 3,200?
yeah.
So, and man, that's not, then, what's that, 6 cabs?
Yeah, there's not that many companies actually that license for pickup in Kingston.
Ask them if it's annual.
Is it annual, chief?
Yes.
Is that 500 annual?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so.
Chief, is there a difference between a livery cab and a taxi cab?
I don't believe so. No.
and why do we have two?
And we don't charge Uber, and I think somebody said we don't charge Uber and Lyft because they got some
Why does the
special
license plate say
agreement.
Taxi or livery? The license plate says that.
It was hard to hear the question. It's a little broken up. What did you say?
Uber and Lyft, they don't have to pay, right? They got
Well,
some,
yeah, we have, the police department doesn't have anything to do with that. They're not licensed through us.
What's the difference between an Uber, a livery license and a
delivery license or taxi.
taxi license?
Actually, I believe they're one and the same. I believe they both have the same plate requirements.
That's a license plate.
Is there a difference in the fee?
Registration.
No, there's no livery fee here. There's just a taxi cab fee.
Bernie's saying there's a difference in the registration fee, but that's Department of Motor Vehicles, right?
I believe so, yes. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
I think one is able to make transports of like a delivery nature, not just people.
So like if you want to take a goat from one farm to another,
Yeah, and have to ask my wife about that.
We have sheep.
Yeah, shoot. Oh, man. So, all right, so that's where we were looking about that, it was brought up that this is one of the highest fees, it's $500, but I believe that is to the company. And you're saying there's not too many taxi cab services anymore in Kingston.
So, hey, Chief, I have a question about that where Tony's going. I'm just going to take it one step further. For that $500, is that just an administrative fee? Does it cost the city anything, or their filing charges? We're just trying to figure $500 is more than any other license fee that we see. And we're just wondering, is it costing us money to have them file this? Do we have to file with the state or something that's costing us a lot of money? Or is it?
Well, for us, it's just really the amount of work put involved in it. One of our officers is responsible for tracking the taxi, both the company and the drivers themselves. Mm-hmm. So there is some work involved, but I think we got it streamlined pretty down nicely now.
Mm-hmm. All right, so it's just an administrative fee, pretty much, right?
Correct. Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
So if we were to reduce that, that's not going to be a major, if we were to reduce that?
Well, is there a reason why you want to? Does companies complain about that, or?
No, I mean, it was just when we looked at that, again, some people just had a question in regard to why that's so high compared to any other fees on the schedule.
Yeah, there's only a couple of companies really that take advantage of that, the fact that they actually do pick up in Kingston. Any company, whether they pay the registration or not, can drop off in Kingston. But to pick up in Kingston, they have to go through our process.
Is there a lot of people who are picking up in Kingston that aren't registered? Licensed?
I hope not. We try to keep that from happening. I mean, occasionally there'll be a complaint. One of the other taxi services may say, hey, this company's coming into town and we just saw them pick somebody up. But usually that's not the case. And if we do get a complaint, we follow up on it.
All right. See you guys. Any other questions for Chief? Good? Good?
All right, thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Get back to the sheep. Get back to the sheep.
Hey, Chief,
One more.
what about the,
That's on you guys.
Hello.
That's on you guys.
so there's a taxi cab registration fee, there's a taxi cab temporary driver's license probably when they first get it, and there's a taxi cab driver's license fee once they become permanent, and there's a taxi cab vehicle inspection. So the only way we could help when these drivers compete against Uber would be to lower the driver's license fee.
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So maybe we want to take $25 off or something. Huh?
I have the definition of livery cab compared to a taxi cab, if you're interested.
Yes.
It's based on the fee. So a livery cab is a car owned by an individual company used to take passengers to the destination for an agreed upon price.
That's
A
cool.
taxi cab is metered. That's the difference.
So that's like an Uber.
Well, I've never been in
And
a
that's
cab.
like- and that's
I've never
like
been in a
city-
cab in Kingston as a meter.
Most of the city cabs, they call themselves, they
They
have
use the city
livery
as the meter.
on their plates.
They use the city as
If
their.
you go out of the city, it's another charge.
He's counting in his head.
I thought with the licenses, though, they had to run some to the state.
I don't know.
Individual
I've
driver.
never been
They
in.
probably do. There's probably some costs,
I
but
believe
I would go even further with a taxi cab driver's license fee and do that down to $25.
we gotta make sure that there's no fee for
Yeah, to make
us.
them competitive.
Is there a fee for the city to do this?
I thought they had to run it
What do you
through the
mean?
state. That might be a question for
The
Jim.
driver's license fee has to go through the
I
state.
thought they had to check each individual
Yes,
driver,
you're right.
Uh-huh.
right? So there's a
So it's
cost
a
to
cost to
that.
That's the cost for the driver's licensing.
There's a
fee.
cost associated, I thought, with the driver.
Can we find out before caucus?
Well, he's saying he hasn't heard any concerns. I mean, I
Well,
know
that
we are
doesn't mean we
concerned.
can't help
Yeah,
these
yeah.
people.
Well, and we have heard, there's been
There has?
one, yeah, I've had one,
With a taxi cab company?
not the
Driver.
driver, the driver who's.
So why don't we find out if there's any fees associated with that and see if we can't help these people a little bit.
Who are you gonna call on that?
The police officer who runs this department, what's his name?
No,
Chief?
No.
No, didn't you say his name, Jeff?
Jerry Marion.
Jerry
You
Marion.
got one of you guys reach out to Jerry Mayor?
I'll
and see if
reach out to Jerry Marion
All right.
and
So
ask
we're
him,
gonna have to-
and ask him if there's any fees associated with this. And if it's gonna cost, if we
With the
can,
individual license.
with the individual
Yeah.
license, okay.
And so we're gonna have to wait to do this.
Well, we can amend it,
caucus.
can't we?
Yeah.
Can we?
Yeah, I guess why you wouldn't be able to caucus. You won't pass
It
that
won't
here.
affect the budget, so,
So what do we do with this?
Yeah.
It's an ordinance, you can amend it anytime.
yeah.
You can you can adopt a fee schedule as attached, and then at caucus, if you need to change it, you can change it there,
All right.
right?
So somebody has to.
Or do you need a special finance meeting?
I'll give you a text. I'll send everybody a text of what Jerry has said.
Budget at all.
No, it has no impact on it.
Well, once again, I mean, depending what changes you make in fee schedules, or changing a lot of fees, then you could change the underlying assumptions in the budget. But, I mean, this is a very minor change. I don't think it's
But then we need a
something that's
clean
gonna
copy of
change the
this too,
number.
right?
Changes the
Because that's gonna have
revenue.
to be attached. with
Changes the
changes.
revenue that city
We're
brings
gonna
in.
need
So should we adopt it and then
But,
change
you
it
know-
at a special meeting?
Yeah,
You can handle that.
or caucus even.
Or any other meeting?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, we can always change it.
I mean, it could be changed in April.
Okay.
You can change it anytime. The fee schedule can be updated whenever.
All right, so it's not a problem.
We
So
can
read
look
it,
at this
bud.
every
Read
month.
it.
Okay, so adopting the City of Kingston fee schedule for 2020.
Motion, motion, motion.
Patrick got you first.
Second.
I use hand signals.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Anything else? That was it.
That's all I have.
All right, so you're gonna get it to us, right, Patrick?
I will call that Officer Marion, is that the name?
Or is the coffee running out of you?
That's why I have to run.
All right, we're done.
As chairman, I'd like to express my appreciation for all your participation. There are 8 members of the 8 councilmen here, and the ninth will be